Daddy, please stop them.
Single dad janitor took down 3 men. Next morning, a motorcade appeared 3 armed men, 1 terrified child. 6 seconds that would shatter a janitor's carefully hidden past. When Noah Calder heard his daughter's scream echo through the empty corporate tower at midnight, he had a choice: stay invisible or become the ghost he'd buried years ago. By dawn, a government motorcade would arrive at his doorstep, and the woman leading it would demand answers he'd sworn never to give. Stay with me until the end, and comment what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. The fluorescent lights of Ravel Dynamics Tower hummed their lonely song at 12:47 a.m., casting sterile white across marble floors that Noah Calder had been polishing for the last 3 hours. His reflection wavered in the wet gleam, a tired man in his mid-30s, dark hair perpetually mussed, wearing the gray uniform that made him invisible to the executives who rushed past him during daylight hours. Invisible was exactly what Noah needed to be. He pushed the industrial mop across the 51st floor, the rhythmic swish of water and the squeak of wheels the only sounds in the sleeping giant of steel and glass. Most of the building security had clocked out hours ago, leaving just 2 guards at the lobby desk and the skeleton crew of cleaners working through the graveyard shift. Noah preferred it this way: fewer people, fewer questions, fewer chances for anyone to look too closely at the janitor who never quite met their eyes. "Daddy?" The small voice made him turn. Luna sat cross-legged against the wall near the elevator bank, her stuffed tiger clutched tight against her chest. At 7 years old, she was small for her age, with dark curls that tumbled past her shoulders and eyes that held too much understanding for someone who should still believe in fairy tales. "Almost done, sweetheart," Noah called softly, guilt twisting in his chest the way it did every night he brought her to work. The after-school program ended at 6. His shift started at 9. The 3-hour gap he could cover with a neighbor, but the overnight? There was no one else. Just him and Luna against the world, the way it had been since her mother died 4 years ago. "Can we go home soon?" Luna's voice was small, tired. "Tiger says he wants his bed." Noah's heart clenched. Tiger said, as if the worn stuffed animal her mother had given her could somehow fill the void of a childhood spent in break rooms and empty offices while Daddy pushed a mop to keep the lights on. 30 more minutes, he promised, trying to inject warmth into his exhausted voice. "Then we'll grab pancakes from that all-night diner you like, the one with the chocolate chips." Luna's face brightened marginally. "With extra syrup?" "With extra syrup," Noah confirmed, managing a smile that felt like lifting weights. "Why don't you go wait in the break room? It's warmer there. I just need to finish this floor." "Okay." Luna stood, tiger dangling from one hand. She started toward the break room, her pink sneakers, too worn. He needed to buy new ones, but the rent was due, squeaking slightly on the damp floor. Noah watched her go, that familiar ache of inadequacy burning in his chest. This wasn't the life he wanted for her. Hell, this wasn't the life he'd ever imagined having, but it was safe, anonymous, far from the world that had taken everything from him once already. He turned back to his mop, attacking a stubborn scuff mark near the conference room door. The tower was a monument to corporate power, home to Ravel Dynamics, a defense contractor that had somehow diversified into tech, finance, and half a dozen other sectors Noah didn't understand and didn't want to. He just cleaned their floors, collected his paycheck, and kept his head down. The stairwell door clicked open. Noah's hand stilled on the mop handle. The sound was wrong, too soft, too careful. In 3 years of working this building, he'd learned its rhythms. The late-night traders coming up for coffee before the Asian markets opened. The obsessive executives who worked until dawn. The security guards making their rounds. This wasn't any of those. 3 men emerged into the hallway. They moved with a precision that made Noah's blood run cold, a synchronized efficiency that spoke of training, purpose, and something far darker than a late-night meeting. All 3 wore dark suits that probably cost more than Noah made in 6 months, but it was the way they moved that triggered every alarm bell in his carefully suppressed instincts. The first man was broad-shouldered, with a scar cutting through his left eyebrow. The second was leaner, his movements liquid and predatory. The third walked slightly behind, his hand inside his jacket in a way that made Noah's pulse spike. They weren't looking at him. Their eyes swept the hallway with tactical precision, scanning, assessing, cataloging, When the scarred man's gaze passed over Noah, there was a flicker of dismissal. Just another invisible service worker, beneath notice, irrelevant to whatever mission had brought them here at 1 a.m. Noah kept his head down, kept pushing the mop, every muscle in his body coiled tight while his mind raced through possibilities. Corporate espionage, a late-night meeting gone wrong, none of his business, not his problem. He was just the janitor, invisible, safe. The three men turned down the eastern corridor, toward the executive suites, toward the high security areas where even Noah's master keycard didn't grant access, toward the break room. Time seemed to crystallize, each second stretching into crystalline clarity. Noah saw it all at once, the trajectory of the men's path, the layout of the floor, the exact location where Luna sat waiting for her daddy with her worn stuffed tiger and her 2 small shoes and her absolute trust that nothing bad could happen as long as he was near. The men rounded the corner, disappeared from view. Noah stood frozen, mop handle gripped tight, every instinct screaming at him to move while his rational mind chanted its desperate mantra. Not your fight. Keep your head down. Stay invisible. Protect Luna by staying away from danger, not running toward it. Then he heard it. "Daddy!" Luna's scream tore through the empty hallway like a bullet through silence. "Daddy, please stop them." The mop clattered to the marble floor. Noah was already running. His shoes found purchase on the slick floor with the muscle memory of a different life. The hallway blurred past him as he sprinted toward the break room, his civilian disguise falling away like shed skin. His breathing steadied, controlled. His vision sharpened, taking in sight lines and angles and tactical possibilities with the automatic assessment he'd spent 4 years trying to forget. He rounded the corner at full speed. The break room door stood open. Through it, Noah could see Luna backed against the wall, tiger clutched to her chest like a shield. The lean man stood closest to her, one hand extended in what might have been meant as a calming gesture, but looked far too much like reaching, grasping, taking. "Don't be afraid, little one," the man was saying in accented English. "We just need you to come with us. Your father will—" He never finished the sentence. Noah hit him from the side like a freight train, all his momentum and fury and 4 years of suppressed training condensed into a single devastating shoulder check that sent the man crashing into the vending machine with a sound like thunder. Glass shattered. The machine tilted, then fell with a metallic scream. The scarred man spun, hand diving inside his jacket. Noah saw the weapon emerging, a compact Glock, black and deadly, and moved on pure instinct. His right hand shot out, clamping onto the man's wrist with precision that came from hundreds of hours of close-quarters combat training. Twist, step, leverage. The gun clattered to the floor as Noah swept the man's legs out from under him and drove him face first into the linoleum. "Luna, close your eyes," Noah barked. Through his peripheral vision, he saw his daughter obey, her small hands flying up to cover her face. Good. She didn't need to see this. Didn't need to see what Daddy became when the invisible man disappeared and the ghost returned. The third man was already moving, drawing his own weapon with professional speed. Noah's foot shot out, connecting with the fallen Glock and sending it skittering across the floor toward the water cooler. He threw himself into a roll, came up inside the third man's guard, and drove his elbow into the man's solar plexus with controlled violence. Air exploded from the man's lungs. Noah caught the weapon as it fell, ejected the magazine with practiced efficiency, and threw both pieces in opposite directions. 6 seconds had elapsed since Luna screamed. All 3 men were down. The lean man was struggling to free himself from the collapsed vending machine, his face bloody from broken glass. The scarred man lay face down, groaning, one arm twisted at an unnatural angle. The third man was on his knees, gasping for air that wouldn't come, his face turning purple. Noah stood in the center of the break room, chest heaving, his janitor's uniform somehow still clean despite the violence. His hands weren't shaking. That was the worst part. After 4 years away, after all his promises to never be that person again, his hands were absolutely steady. "Luna," he said, forcing his voice into something resembling calm. "You okay, sweetheart?" "Daddy?" Her voice was tiny, muffled behind her hands. "Are the bad men gone?" "Not gone," Noah said carefully, crouching down to Luna's level while keeping all 3 attackers in his peripheral vision. "But they can't hurt you. You can open your eyes now." Luna lowered her hand slowly. Her eyes were huge, shocked, darting between her father and the three groaning men scattered across the break room like broken toys. "Daddy," she whispered, You flew!" Despite everything, Noah almost smiled. "I didn't fly, sweetheart. I just moved fast." "But you," Luna's voice cracked, "you were just cleaning. And then you were like the heroes in my comic books. All the bad men just fell down." Noah reached out, pulling his daughter into a tight embrace. She was shaking, he realized, trembling like a leaf in a storm while he stood there steady as stone. And what did that say about him? What kind of father was he? That violence came more naturally than comfort. "It's okay," he murmured into her hair. "You're safe. I promise you're safe." Behind him, the lean man groaned. You made a mistake." Noah turned his head slightly, not enough to lose sight of the other two, but enough to let the speaker see his face. Whatever the man saw there made him go pale and shut his mouth with an audible click. "The only mistake," Noah said quietly, "was coming near my daughter." He pulled out his ancient flip phone, the one Luna constantly begged him to replace with something from this century, and dialed 911. "This is Noah Calder at Ravel Dynamics Tower, 51st floor," he said when the operator answered. "I need police and paramedics. 3 men attempted to abduct my daughter. I've subdued them, but they need medical attention." The operator's voice crackled with concern and questions. Noah answered mechanically, his mind already racing ahead. This was bad. This was worse than bad. The police would come and they'd ask questions. They'd want statements. They'd want to know how a janitor took down 3 armed men without breaking a sweat. They'd look at him, and invisible men, once seen, could never disappear again. "Daddy?" Luna tugged on his sleeve. "Are we in trouble?" Noah looked down at his daughter's worried face and felt something crack in his chest. "No, sweetheart. We're not in trouble. You didn't do anything wrong." "But you hurt those men." "I stopped them from hurting you," Noah corrected gently. "There's a difference." Luna considered this with the seriousness only a 7-year-old could manage. "Like when you stopped me from touching the hot stove because it would hurt me?" "Exactly like that." "Okay." Luna seemed satisfied with this explanation. She squeezed Tiger tighter. "Tiger was very brave." "Tiger was very brave," Noah agreed. "And so were you." The scarred man groaned and tried to sit up. Noah shifted position slightly, putting himself between the man and Luna. It was an unconscious movement, protective, but the man saw it and wisely decided to stay down. "You don't know what you've done," the man rasped, his accent Eastern European, Russian maybe, or Ukrainian. "The people we work for don't care," Noah cut him off. "I don't care who you work for. I don't care why you're here. You came near my daughter. That's the only part of this equation that matters." "She wasn't the target," the man said, and there was something almost like apology in his voice. "We were just going to use her to what?" Noah's voice went flat, cold. "To get to someone else? To leverage? To bargain with?" He took a step forward, and all 3 men flinched despite their injuries. "She's 7 years old. She has a stuffed tiger and she likes chocolate chip pancakes. And you were going to use her as a tool." The man's jaw worked. "Orders are orders." "Orders." Noah laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Yeah. I used to understand orders. Used to follow them too, no matter what they cost, until I realized what orders had cost me. My wife. Almost cost me my daughter. So you'll forgive me if I don't give a damn about your orders." Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Luna pressed against Noah's leg and he rested his hand on her hair, an anchor for both of them. "There's something you should know," the lean man said from his position under the vending machine. He'd managed to wipe some of the blood from his face, revealing hard eyes and harder features. "Before the police arrive. Before this gets complicated." "I'm not interested in anything you have to say," Noah replied. "You will be." The man shifted, grimacing. "Those weren't our weapons. Standard issue Glocks, nothing traceable. We weren't here to kill, just to extract." "Extract who?" "Not your daughter," the man said. "She was collateral, leverage. The real target was someone else in this building, Someone who never leaves, never sleeps anywhere but her office on the top floor. Someone who's been under protection for years, but tonight the protection was pulled. Tonight, she was supposed to be vulnerable. Noah's jaw tightened. He knew who lived on the top floor. Everyone who worked in the tower knew. Verena Drake, the CEO who'd built Revell Dynamics from her father's modest defense firm into a multi-billion-dollar empire before she turned 30. The woman who was rumored to sleep 3 hours a night in her executive suite and spend the rest of her time reshaping industries. "Why are you telling me this?" Noah asked. "Because in about 30 seconds, her security team is going to arrive," the man said. "And when they see what you did to us, 3 trained operatives taken down by a janitor in 6 seconds flat, they're going to have questions, the kind of questions that don't have comfortable answers." As if summoned, the elevator chimed. The doors opened to reveal 4 men in tactical gear, weapons drawn, moving with the coordinated precision of professionals. Behind them, taller than all of them, walked a woman in a slate gray suit that probably cost more than Noah's car. Her hair was pulled back severely, revealing a face that was more striking than beautiful. Sharp cheekbones, ice blue eyes, and a mouth set in a line that suggested she hadn't smiled in years. Verena Drake surveyed the scene with the clinical assessment of a general viewing a battlefield. Her gaze swept over the 3 injured men, the destroyed break room, the scattered weapons, and finally landed on Noah standing protectively in front of his daughter. "Well," she said, her voice cool and precise as a scalpel, "this is unexpected." Her security team fanned out, weapons still drawn but no longer pointed. One of them, a grizzled man with salt and pepper hair and the build of a career soldier, crouched beside the scarred man, checking his pulse and injuries with efficient movements. "Ma'am," he called to Verena. "These are Corin Vale's men. I recognize the tattoos." Verena's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. Fear? No, something colder. Recognition. "Are you certain?" Her voice remained level. "Positive. Vale's been on our watch list for 6 months, ever since the incident in Prague." "Then this was a targeted extraction attempt." Verena's gaze shifted back to Noah. "And you stopped it." It wasn't a question. "They were going after my daughter," Noah said simply. "No." Verena stepped closer, her heels clicking on the broken glass. "They were going after me. Your daughter was leverage, a means to an end. You were just..." She paused, studying him with those unsettling blue eyes. "In the way." Luna peeked out from behind Noah's leg. "Are you okay, miss?" For the first time, Verena's expression softened almost imperceptibly. "I'm fine, thank you." "Are you hurt?" "No. My daddy stopped the bad men." Luna's voice carried that absolute childhood certainty. "He flew through the air like a superhero." "Did he now?" Verena's eyes stayed fixed on Noah, and there was something calculating in her gaze. "Remarkable, particularly for a janitor." The sirens were right outside now. Flashing lights painted the windows in alternating red and blue. "Ma'am," the grizzled security chief said, "police are incoming. How do you want to handle this?" Verena didn't answer immediately. She continued to study Noah with an intensity that made his skin crawl. It was the look of someone solving a puzzle, connecting dots, seeing patterns where others saw only chaos. "Tell me," she said quietly, "where exactly did a janitor learn to disarm and disable 3 trained operatives in under 10 seconds? That's Tier 1 operator speed, special forces, maybe intelligence community. And the technique you used on Petrov there?" She gestured to the man with the broken arm. "That's Krav Maga blended with something else. Something I've only seen once before." Noah's throat went dry. "I don't know what you're talking about." "They attacked my daughter. I defended her." "With the skill of someone who's done it hundreds of times before," Verena countered. "Someone who's been trained to react, not think, to neutralize threats with maximum efficiency and minimum waste." She took another step closer. "Who are you really?" Noah called her. "Just a janitor trying to raise his daughter," Noah said, and hated how much it sounded like a lie. "A janitor?" Verena's lips curved in something that wasn't quite a smile. "A janitor who works nights, keeps his head down, never causes problems. A janitor whose background check came back so clean, it's suspicious. No social media presence. No digital footprint before 4 years ago. It's like you appeared out of thin air. I keep to myself. Or someone very good helped you disappear. The police burst through the stairwell door, weapons drawn, shouting commands. The scene erupted into controlled chaos. Officers securing the injured men, paramedics rushing in with stretchers, everyone talking at once. Through it all, Verena Drake never took her eyes off Noah. "Take them both to my office," she told her security chief quietly. "Not for interrogation, for protection." "Ma'am, the police will want statements, and they'll get them, after I'm certain these two are safe." Verena's voice carried absolute authority. "Vale doesn't send 3 men unless he's sent 30. This was just the opening move. The police station isn't secure enough." Noah wanted to argue, wanted to grab Luna and run, disappear again the way he'd done 4 years ago when everything fell apart. But Verena was right. He could see it in the cold calculation of her eyes. This wasn't over. Men like those didn't work alone. And if they knew about Luna, if they knew how to find her. "Okay," he heard himself say, "but Luna needs to eat and sleep. She's 7 years old." "I have a guest suite in my office," Verena said. "Fully stocked kitchen. She'll be comfortable." "Daddy?" Luna tugged on his hand. "I don't understand. Are we sleeping in the tall lady's office?" "Just for tonight, sweetheart," Noah said, hoping desperately that it was true. "Just until we figure things out." "Okay." Luna yawned, the adrenaline finally giving way to exhaustion. "Can we still get pancakes in the morning?" "Best pancakes in the city," Verena said before Noah could answer. "I'll have my chef prepare them, with extra chocolate chips and all the syrup you want." Luna's eyes widened. "You have a chef?" "I have several," Verena said, and this time her almost smile reached her eyes. "When you work as much as I do, you need people to handle the details." The police were sorting through the scene, photographing evidence, taking preliminary statements from the security team. A detective in a rumpled suit approached them, notebook in hand, but Verena intercepted him with the smooth authority of someone accustomed to controlling every situation. "Detective Ramirez," she said, and Noah wondered how she knew his name without introduction. "My security team will provide complete statements. Mr. Calder and his daughter are witnesses and potential targets. I'm moving them to a secure location within the building until we've assessed the full threat." "Ms. Drake," Ramirez said carefully, "this is a crime scene. We need to interview everyone involved. And you will, at 9 a.m. in my office with my attorney present." Her tone allowed no argument. "These men work for Corin Vale, which means this is now a federal matter. FBI will be involved within the hour. I suggest you preserve the scene and wait for them to arrive." Ramirez's jaw worked, but he nodded. 9 a.m. Don't leave the building." "I live in the building, Detective. Where would I go?" Noah let himself be guided toward the elevator, Luna's hand tight in his. The security team formed a protective box around them, 2 in front, 2 behind, treating this like an extraction from hostile territory. Which, Noah supposed, it was. The elevator rose smoothly, numbers climbing, 51, 52, 53. The executive floors where Noah had never been allowed, where his keycard didn't work and the cleaning was handled by a different, more vetted crew. Luna leaned against him, tiger clutched tight. "Daddy, are the bad men going to come back?" "No, sweetheart." Noah kissed the top of her head. "You're safe now." But even as he said it, even as he felt Luna relax against him, Noah's mind was racing through possibilities, calculating angles, assessing threats. Because men like Corin Vale didn't stop after one failed attempt. They adapted, they escalated. And somewhere out in the city, beyond the steel and glass of Ravel Dynamics Tower, Vale was already planning his next move. The elevator opened onto the 55th floor. Not an office, a residence. Verena Drake's personal domain, where she apparently lived and worked in seamless integration. The space was stunning, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, minimalist furniture in shades of gray and white, art that was probably worth millions on walls that seemed to float. But what caught Noah's attention were the defensive positions, the sight lines, the reinforced door frames and bullet-resistant glass. This wasn't just a luxury penthouse, it was a fortress. Verena noticed his assessment. You see it? She said quietly. The modifications. Most people don't. Most people aren't looking for them, Noah replied. But you are. She gestured to her security chief. Marcus, show Luna to the guest suite. Make sure she has everything she needs. I don't want to leave Daddy, Luna said immediately, her grip tightening on Noah's hand. I'll be right here, Noah promised. Just in the next room. And you'll have Tiger with you. And pancakes in the morning? And pancakes in the morning, Verena confirmed, with extra syrup. Luna looked between them, her 7-year-old intuition sensing the adult conversation that needed to happen. Finally, she nodded. Okay, but if I have bad dreams, Daddy comes right away. Right away, Noah agreed. I promise. Marcus, the security chief, led Luna toward a door at the far end of the space. She looked back twice, and each time Noah waved, trying to project confidence he didn't feel. When the door closed, Verena turned to face him fully. Now, she said, her voice dropping to something harder, colder. Tell me who you really are, Noah called her. And don't insult my intelligence by continuing the janitor fiction. Those men downstairs were professionals. Corin Vale only hires the best, and you took them apart like they were children. Noah met her ice blue stare and said nothing. Fine. Verena walked to a panel on the wall, pressed her palm against it. A hidden door slid open, revealing a room that looked more like a command center than an office. Monitors showing security feeds from every angle of the tower, satellite imagery, news feeds from a dozen countries. Let me tell you what I know. 4 years ago, a man named Noah Calder appeared in the city. No history before that. No digital trail. Just a clean background check that was too clean and a job application for the night shift at my building. She turned, her expression unreadable. I noticed you. Of course I noticed you. I noticed everything in this building, but you kept your head down, did your job, never caused problems. You were invisible, and I thought maybe he's just a man trying to start over. Everyone deserves that chance. Then why the interrogation? Noah asked. Because 20 minutes ago, you stopped being invisible, Verena said. And invisible men don't have those reflexes, don't have that training, don't move like ghosts and think like operators. She paused. Don't protect their daughters with the muscle memory of someone who's protected far more important targets. Noah's jaw tightened. You're reading too much into a father defending his child. Am I? Verena pulled up a file on one of the monitors. That's the technique you used on Petrov. Recognize it? Noah looked at the screen. It showed a training video, 2 operators demonstrating the exact disarm and takedown he'd used. The footage was old, grainy, marked with timestamps from 8 years ago. This is from a classified training facility, Verena continued, one that doesn't officially exist, where they train operators for missions that don't officially happen. Tier 1 special operations. The people who rescue hostages from impossible situations, who stop terrorist attacks before they make the news, who disappear into the night and are never named, never thanked, never acknowledged. She turned back to him. I know about them because they saved my life when I was 14 years old. I was kidnapped from a diplomatic event in Vienna, held for ransom by a group that wanted to use me as leverage against my father's defense contracts. I spent 6 days in a basement, certain I was going to die. Verena's voice remained steady, clinical, but Noah could see the slight tremor in her hands. Then one night, the door exploded inward. 4 operators in black gear moving like shadows. They killed 6 kidnappers in under 30 seconds. Extracted me without a scratch. And the last one out, the one who carried me to the helicopter, he moved exactly like you did tonight. Noah's heart hammered against his ribs. I never saw his face, Verena said softly. The helmet, the gear, the darkness. But I remembered how he moved. The economy of motion. The absolute confidence. The way he checked corners and calculated angles even while carrying a terrified teenager. I've been looking for that movement pattern ever since, wondering if I'd ever see it again. She took a step closer. So I'll ask you one more time, Noah called her. Who are you really, and why are Corin Vale's men trying to use your daughter to get to me? The silence stretched between them, heavy with implications and unspoken truths. Finally, Noah spoke. 8 years ago, he said quietly, I was part of a unit that didn't exist. We ran operations that never made the news. Rescued people from situations that officially never happened. We were good at what we did. Maybe the best. And then I fell in love with someone I was protecting during an extraction. We got married, had Luna. I thought I could balance both lives, be a father and an operator. I was wrong. His voice cracked slightly. 4 years ago, someone found out about my family, used them as leverage. My wife died because of what I did, who I was. Luna survived, barely. So you disappeared, Verena said. So I disappeared, Noah confirmed. Burned every bridge, called in every favor. Someone very good helped me vanish. New identity, new life, new everything. I became invisible because invisible meant safe. Meant Luna could grow up without looking over her shoulder, without paying for her father's sins. Until tonight. Until tonight, Noah agreed. When 3 professionals came after the one thing I'd do anything to protect, and now you know what I am, what I was. And if you know, others can find out, which means you can't disappear again, Verena finished. Because Corin Vale doesn't give up. And if he knows about Luna, if he knows how to find you, running won't help. He'll just follow, use her again, take her eventually. Noah's hands clenched into fists. Then what do I do? Verena was quiet for a long moment, her ice blue eyes studying him with that unsettling intensity. When she finally spoke, her voice carried something Noah hadn't expected. Hope. You stop running, she said. You stop being invisible. And you help me figure out why Corin Vale wants me badly enough to risk attacking in my own building. Because that training you had, those skills you've been hiding, I need them. Luna needs them. And whether you want to admit it or not. She gestured to the monitors showing the city below, the tower around them, the endless threats hidden in shadows. The ghost isn't done haunting yet. Richard T. Noah stared at the monitors displaying the city's nightscape, each light a potential threat now that his carefully constructed invisibility had shattered. The ghost wasn't done haunting yet. Verena's words echoed in his mind, and he felt the weight of 4 years of running pressing against the reality that there was nowhere left to run. You don't understand what you're asking, Noah said, his voice low. The moment I stopped being invisible, I put Luna at even greater risk. Every second I stay here, every moment I'm connected to you, makes her a bigger target. She's already a target, Verena countered, moving to stand beside him at the window. This close, Noah could see the faint scar along her jawline, barely visible but unmistakable once you knew to look for it. A souvenir from Vienna, probably. Vale doesn't stop. You know that. Men like him, they calculate, they plan, they execute. Tonight was reconnaissance disguised as an extraction attempt. He was testing my defenses, seeing how fast my security would respond, mapping the building's vulnerabilities. And now he knows I'm here, Noah said bitterly. Knows what I can do. That makes me a variable he has to eliminate. Or a weapon he wants to acquire. Verena pulled up another screen, this one showing a dossier with a photograph of a man in his late 40s. Silver hair, cold eyes, expensive suit. Corin Vale, former intelligence operative turned broker. He doesn't just run missions. He connects people who need things done with people who can do them. Governments that want deniability, corporations that need competitors eliminated, individuals with very specific, very illegal problems. Noah studied the photograph, committing every detail to memory. I know the type. Met plenty of them in my old life. They're cockroaches. Kill one, 10 more appear. Vale is different, Verena said. He's patient, methodical. He's been building his network for 15 years, staying just under the radar of every intelligence agency. The only reason I know about him is because 6 months ago, one of my subsidiaries outbid him for a military contract in Eastern Europe. He doesn't forget slights like that. So this is revenge? Revenge is part of it, Verena confirmed. But Vale doesn't operate on emotion alone. There's something else he wants from me. Information, maybe. Access to Ravel Dynamics defense contracts, or... She paused, her expression hardening. He's working for someone who wants me gone entirely. Noah turned to face her fully. How many enemies do you have? Enough to fill a small stadium, Verena said without a trace of humor. You don't build an empire like mine without crushing competition, disrupting markets, and making powerful people very angry. The difference is, Most of them use lawyers and lobbyists. Vale uses bullets. A soft knock interrupted them. Marcus entered, his weathered face creased with concern. "Ma'am," Luna settled in the guest suite. "She asked me to tell her father that Tiger is guarding the door, and he shouldn't worry." Despite everything, Noah felt his lips twitch. "Did she really?" "Word for word," Marcus confirmed. Then his expression sobered. "FBI just arrived downstairs. Agent Sarah Chen. She's requesting immediate access to you both." "Chen," Verena repeated. "She's good. Thorough. Doesn't take no for an answer." "Should I tell her to wait until morning?" Marcus asked. Verena glanced at Noah. "Your call. You're the one who just became the star witness in an attempted kidnapping." Noah considered. Agent Chen would have questions, the kind that would peel back layers of his carefully constructed new life. But refusing to cooperate would only make her dig deeper, become more suspicious. Better to control the narrative now, while the adrenaline and chaos of the night could explain away inconsistencies. "Bring her up," Noah said. "But Luna doesn't talk to anyone without me present." "Agreed," Verena said. "Marcus, escort Agent Chen up, and make sure she understands this is my home. My rules." Marcus nodded and disappeared. Verena moved to a sleek bar cart in the corner, poured 2 glasses of amber liquid. She handed one to Noah. "Bourbon," she said. 18 years old. You look like you need it." Noah accepted the glass but didn't drink. "I don't drink on the job." "You're not on the job. You're a janitor who had a very bad night." "Am I?" Noah met her gaze. "Because it feels like I just signed up for something far more complicated than mopping floors." "You haven't signed up for anything," Verena said. "Yet. But we both know you're going to, because the alternative is taking Luna and running again, and you're smart enough to know that won't work this time. Vale saw what you can do. He'll want you, either as an asset or neutralized as a threat. Running just delays the inevitable." Noah wanted to argue, but the logic was inescapable. He took a sip of the bourbon. It burned smooth and warm down his throat, expensive enough that he could probably have lived on what this bottle cost for a month. The elevator chimed. Agent Sarah Chen stepped out, flanked by 2 other agents. She was in her mid-30s, Asian American, wearing a dark suit and an expression that suggested she'd seen far too much human ugliness to be surprised by anything. Her eyes swept the penthouse with professional assessment before landing on Noah. "Mr. Calder," she said, pulling out a badge. "Special Agent Chen, FBI. I need to ask you some questions about tonight's incident." "Of course," Noah said, settling into the role of cooperative witness. "Though I'm not sure how much help I'll be. Everything happened very fast." "Fast enough that you disabled 3 armed operatives in approximately 6 seconds, Agent Chen said, consulting a tablet. "According to preliminary statements from Ms. Drake's security team, that's impressive for a janitor." "My daughter was in danger," Noah replied evenly. "Adrenaline does strange things." "Adrenaline doesn't teach you Krav Maga," Agent Chen countered, "or how to disarm a trained shooter, or tactical assessment of multiple threats simultaneously." She looked up from her tablet. "Want to try again?" Verena stepped forward smoothly. "Agent Chen, Mr. Calder has been through a traumatic experience. His daughter was nearly kidnapped. Perhaps we could approach this with a bit more sensitivity." "Ms. Drake, with respect, 3 men attempted a targeted extraction in your building," Agent Chen said. "All 3 are connected to Corin Vale, a person of interest in 17 open investigations spanning 6 countries. This isn't a mugging gone wrong. This is sophisticated, coordinated, and very concerning." She turned back to Noah. "So I'll ask again, who are you really, Mr. Calder?" The silence stretched. Noah could feel Verena's eyes on him, measuring, calculating. This was the moment. He could maintain his cover, stick to the janitor story, and watch Agent Chen dig until she uncovered enough to blow his new life apart. Or he could give her something, not everything, never everything, but enough truth to satisfy her immediate questions. 8 years ago, I worked in executive protection, Noah said carefully. High-risk clients, hostile environments. I had training, good training. When my wife died 4 years ago, I left that life behind. Wanted something quiet, safe, where I could focus on raising my daughter. Executive protection, Agent Chen repeated. Who did you work for? Private contractors. Noah said, which was technically true. Discreet clients who valued anonymity. I signed NDAs that are still in effect. NDAs don't apply to federal investigations. They do when the clients include foreign heads of state and active intelligence operations, Verena interjected smoothly. Agent Chen, I think we both know that Mr. Calder's previous employment is classified above your clearance level. What matters is that he was here tonight. His training saved not only his daughter, but potentially prevented a much larger incident, and he cooperated fully with law enforcement. Agent Chen's jaw tightened. You're protecting him. I'm protecting a man who just saved lives, Verena corrected, including quite possibly mine. Cornvale's men weren't here for a janitor's daughter. They were after something bigger. Mr. Calder was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, or the right place, depending on your perspective. Agent Chen studied them both for a long moment. You're going to stonewall me on this. We're going to cooperate fully while respecting operational security, Verena said. There's a difference. Fine. Agent Chen closed her tablet with a sharp click. But understand this. Cornvale doesn't stop. Tonight was a probe. Next time he'll bring more men, better planning, heavier firepower. If you're harboring Mr. Calder and his daughter here, you're painting a target on this entire building. This building has been a target since I took over Ravel Dynamics, Verena replied. Vale is just the latest in a long line of people who think they can intimidate me. He'll learn, like all the others, that I don't intimidate easily. Agent Chen looked at Noah. What about you? You comfortable putting your daughter in the middle of a war between a corporate titan and an international criminal? The words hit like a physical blow. Noah's hand tightened on his glass. My daughter is already in the middle of it. The moment those men knew her name, her face, her location, she became a target. Running won't change that. Vale has resources. He'll find us wherever we go. So you're choosing to stay here, in the most obvious location possible? I'm choosing to stand my ground, Noah said quietly, with resources, backup, and defensive positions. Better than running blind with a 7-year-old in tow. Agent Chen's expression softened marginally. You love your daughter. I respect that. But love doesn't stop bullets, Mr. Calder. It just makes you more desperate when they start flying. Then I'll make sure they don't start flying, Noah replied. That's not your job anymore, Agent Chen said. It's mine. The FBI is opening a full investigation into Cornvale's operations. We'll have a protective detail assigned to Ms. Drake and anyone else Vale might target. You should take your daughter and enter witness protection until this is resolved. No, Noah said immediately. Mr. Calder, no, Noah repeated, more firmly. I've lived that life. New names, new cities, always looking over your shoulder. Luna deserves better. She deserves to feel safe in her own home, go to her own school, keep her own name. I won't take that from her again. You may not have a choice, Agent Chen warned. There's always a choice, Verena said. And in this case, the choice is between reactive protection and proactive elimination of the threat. Agent Chen, your protective detail will be welcome, but I suspect Mr. Calder and I are better positioned to draw Vale out and end this permanently. Agent Chen's eyes narrowed. You're not vigilantes. This is a federal matter. And we'll cooperate fully with federal authorities, Verena assured her. But I've been a target before, Agent Chen. I know how predators think. Vale won't stop until he gets what he wants or until he's eliminated as a threat. Your investigation will take months, maybe years. I prefer to resolve this on my timeline. That sounds dangerously close to taking the law into your own hands. It sounds like a CEO protecting her company and the people in it, Verena corrected, within the bounds of the law, with full cooperation with law enforcement. Unless you're suggesting I should just wait passively for the next attack? Agent Chen looked between them, frustration evident in every line of her body. You're both going to do something stupid, aren't you? We're going to do something necessary, Noah said. There's a difference. Agent Chen sighed. Fine. But when this goes sideways, and it will go sideways, don't say I didn't warn you. I'll have a protective detail posted outside by morning. In the meantime, don't leave this building, don't contact anyone Vale might have compromised, and for God's sake, don't try to be heroes. She handed Noah a business card. My direct line, 24 hours. If anything happens, anything at all, you call me immediately. Understood? Noah pocketed the card. Understood. Agent Chen and her team left, the elevator doors closing with a soft chime. The moment they were gone, Verena drained her bourbon glass. She's going to be a problem, Verena said. She's doing her job, Noah countered, trying to keep people safe. By following procedure and protocol while Vale operates outside every rule, Verena said, we both know how that ends. The FBI will investigate. Vale will hide behind cutouts and shell companies, and in 6 months, they'll have nothing concrete enough to prosecute while more bodies pile up. Noah couldn't argue with that logic. He'd seen it before. Good agents hamstrung by legal restrictions while criminals operated with impunity. It was one of the reasons he'd left his old life. Tired of the gray areas, the compromises, the impossible choices between law and justice. So what's your play? Noah asked. You clearly have one. Verena smiled, and there was something predatory in it. My play is simple. We figure out what Vale really wants, not the surface reason, revenge for a lost contract, but the deeper motivation. Men like Vale don't risk this much for wounded pride. There's something else, something he needs from me or from Ravel Dynamics. And once we know what he wants, we use it as bait, Verena said. Draw him out. Force him to make mistakes. And when he does... She let the sentence hang, but the implication was clear. Noah thought of Luna sleeping in the next room, clutching Tiger and trusting that Daddy would keep her safe. Thought of the 4 years he'd spent invisible, anonymous, pretending to be someone he wasn't. Thought of his wife, dead because someone had used her as leverage against him. I'm in, he heard himself say, but I have conditions. Name them. Luna's safety is paramount, Noah said. Whatever plan we develop, whatever risks we take, she stays protected. Always. Agreed, Verena said immediately. What else? I don't kill, Noah said. Not anymore. I'll stop threats, disable attackers, protect targets, but I'm done taking lives. That's not who I am anymore. Verena regarded him thoughtfully. That's an admirable principle. I hope you can maintain it when Vale sends more men. Professional killers don't share your restraint. I've stopped professional killers before without killing them, Noah replied. It's harder, requires more precision, more risk to myself. But I'm willing to take that risk if it means Luna doesn't grow up with a father who's a killer. Even if that father is already a killer? Verena asked softly. You have blood on your hands from your old life. We both know that. Which is exactly why I can't add more, Noah said. Those deaths, they haunt me, Verena. Every single one. I see their faces when I try to sleep, hear their last words. Some of them deserved it, sure. Terrorists, murderers, monsters. But some of them were just soldiers following orders, or guards in the wrong place at the wrong time, or... His voice cracked. Innocent people caught in crossfire I couldn't prevent. Verena was quiet for a moment. You're a good man, Noah called her. That's rare in our world. I'm a man trying to be good, Noah corrected. There's a difference. Then we'll do this your way, Verena decided. No killing unless absolutely necessary for immediate defense of life. We disable, we capture, we hand them to authorities. It'll be harder, messier, more dangerous. But if that's the price of keeping your soul intact, I'll pay it. Why? Noah asked. Why does my soul matter to you? Verena walked back to the windows, looking out over the city. Because 14 years ago, the man who rescued me from that basement in Vienna, he could have killed all 6 kidnappers. Probably should have, tactically. Cleaner, faster, less risk. But he didn't. He disabled 4 of them. Lethal force only when there was no alternative. And when he carried me out, when I was crying and terrified and broken, he told me something I've never forgotten. She turned back to Noah. He said, You survived because someone chose mercy over expedience. Remember that. When you have power, when you have the choice, choose mercy when you can. It's the only thing that separates us from them. I was 14 years old, and those words shaped everything I became. Noah felt something cold settle in his chest. That operator who rescued you. I don't know if it was you, Verena said. The odds are astronomical. Hundreds of operators, thousands of missions. But the way you moved tonight, the The choices you made, disabling rather than killing even with your daughter's life at stake? It felt like him. Like the man who taught me that power without mercy is just another form of evil. Say. If it was me, Noah said slowly, if I was part of that extraction, then you saved my life twice, Verena finished. Once when I was a terrified child, once tonight. And that's why I'm willing to trust you with mine again, because whoever you were, whatever you did in your old life, you chose mercy when you could. That's the man I need beside me when Vale comes again. The weight of her words settled over them both. Outside, the city continued its endless rhythm, unaware of the war being planned in the penthouse above it. Noah thought about Vienna, about a rescue mission 8 years ago. He'd been part of several extractions that year, but he remembered one in particular, a diplomat's daughter, held in a basement, 6 kidnappers who'd surrendered too late for mercy but too soon for righteousness. The team had debated execution versus arrest during the flight home. Noah had argued for arrest, for letting the justice system handle them, even though it was messier and riskier. Had that been Verena? Had he carried her to safety without ever knowing that 14 years later their lives would intersect again? I can't confirm or deny any specific operations, Noah said carefully. But if I was there, if I was the one who carried you out, I'm glad you survived. Glad you built something good from something terrible. I built an empire, Verena said. Whether that's good is debatable, but I survived, and now I'm going to make sure you and Luna survive too. The door to the guest suite opened. Luna emerged, tiger clutched tight, her eyes heavy with sleep. Daddy, I had a bad dream. Noah was across the room in 3 strides, crouching down to his daughter's level. It's okay, sweetheart, I'm right here. What did you dream about? The bad men came back, Luna whispered, but this time they got past you. They took me away, and you couldn't find me. Noah pulled her into a tight embrace, feeling her small body trembling against his chest. That's not going to happen, Luna, I promise. You're safe here. But what if they come back? Luna's voice was muffled against his shoulder. What if there's more of them? What if... Then I'll stop them again, Noah said firmly. And Ms. Drake's security team will help. And the FBI is outside, and no one is going to hurt you. Do you believe me? Luna pulled back slightly, looking up at him with those 2 wise eyes. You were scared tonight. I saw it. When you were fighting the bad men, your face was scary. Noah's heart clenched. He'd tried so hard to shield her from that side of him, the operator beneath the janitor. I'm sorry you saw that, sweetheart. Sometimes grown-ups have to do scary things to protect the people they love. Like how you protected Mommy? Luna asked, and Noah felt the world tilt. They'd never talked about this. Not really. Luna had been 3 when her mother died. Too young to understand, too young for the truth. Noah had told her it was an accident, a car crash, something random and meaningless. Because how do you tell a child that her mother died because bad men wanted to hurt Daddy? What do you mean? Noah asked carefully. I remember stuff, Luna said. Little things. Mommy was scared sometimes. She'd look out the window like she was watching for something. And once I heard her talking to you, saying she didn't want to be afraid anymore, that she wanted a normal life. And you said you'd make it happen. You'd make us all safe. Noah closed his eyes. Luna, but then she died, Luna continued in that matter-of-fact way children have when dealing with impossible things. And we moved away, and you became a janitor, and we were invisible. She looked up at him. We were invisible because being invisible was safer than being real, right? Verena approached quietly, crouching down beside them. Your father loves you very much, Luna. Everything he's done, becoming invisible, working as a janitor, hiding all his special skills, he did it to protect you. I know, Luna said, but we can't be invisible anymore, can we? The bad men saw us. No, sweetheart, Noah admitted. We can't be invisible anymore. Then what are we going to be? It was Verena who answered. We're going to be smart, and careful, and strong. Your father is going to work with me to make sure the bad men can never hurt you, and you're going to stay here where it's safe, with guards and cameras and all the protection we can give you. Can you be brave enough for that? Luna considered this seriously. Will I still go to school? Eventually, Verena said. Once it's safe. For now, I'll arrange for a tutor to come here. The best tutor money can buy. Will they know about dinosaurs? Luna asked. Because I really like dinosaurs and my teacher at school doesn't know very much about them. Despite everything, Noah laughed. I'm sure Ms. Drake can find a dinosaur expert tutor. I'll have one here by tomorrow afternoon, Verena promised. What's your favorite dinosaur? Ankylosaurus, Luna said immediately, because they're armored and nothing can hurt them. They're safe even when there's predators around. Verena's expression softened. That's a very good reason to like them. And you know what? We're going to make sure you're just as safe as an Ankylosaurus, armored and protected. With you and Daddy protecting me, with your father and me, and Marcus and his security team, and the FBI agents outside, and every resource I have, Verena confirmed, you're going to be the most protected 7-year-old in the entire city. Luna seemed satisfied with this. She yawned, the fear slowly easing from her small face. Can I sleep with you tonight, Daddy? Just for tonight? Of course, Noah said, standing and lifting her easily. Come on, let's get you back to bed. He carried Luna back to the guest suite, Verena following at a respectful distance. The room was larger than their entire apartment. King-size bed with cloud-soft sheets, attached bathroom with heated floors, a sitting area with overstuffed chairs, and a bookshelf already stocked with children's books. Noah settled Luna into the bed, tucking the covers around her and placing Tiger in her arms. Better? Better, Luna agreed, already drifting. Daddy? Will we ever go home? To our real home? Noah thought about their tiny apartment, the cracked ceiling and the radiator that clanked through winter nights. Home. It had been home because it was safe, anonymous, invisible. Maybe, Noah said honestly. When this is over, when the bad men are gone for good. But for now, we're going to stay here where you're protected. Is that okay? Okay, Luna mumbled. Miss Drake seems nice. She has nice offices, and she promised pancakes. She did promise pancakes, Noah agreed, smoothing Luna's hair back from her forehead. Sleep now, sweetheart. I'll be right in the next room if you need me. Love you, Daddy? Love you too, Luna, more than anything in the world. He waited until her breathing evened out, until he was certain she was truly asleep. Then he stood, every muscle in his body aching from the night's violence and emotional exhaustion, and walked back to where Verena waited. She's resilient, Verena observed, more than most adults would be in this situation. She's had to be, Noah said quietly. After her mother died, I fell apart. Completely fell apart. Luna was the one who held us together, a 3-year-old child comforting her father because he couldn't stop crying. She shouldn't have had to be that strong. No child should. But she was, Verena said. And she survived. And now she has a father who would fight an army to protect her. That's not nothing, Noah. It's not enough, Noah said. She should have a normal childhood. Friends, birthday parties, school plays. Not tutors in a corporate fortress while her father plans military operations. Maybe, Verena agreed, but normal is overrated, and sometimes safety is more important than normal. She walked to a wall panel, pressed her palm against it. Another hidden door opened, revealing a small armory. Weapons, body armor, tactical equipment. Marcus built this 3 years ago, after the second assassination attempt. I told him he was paranoid. He told me paranoia keeps you alive. Noah studied the arsenal with professional assessment. Someone tried to kill you twice? 3 times, technically, Verena said. First was in Vienna, the kidnapping. Second was a car bomb in London. Failed. Marcus spotted the device before I got in the vehicle. Third was a sniper in Dubai. Marcus took the bullet meant for me. Spent 6 months in physical therapy learning to walk again. He's loyal. He's family, Verena corrected. After Vienna, after my rescue, my father hired a security team. Marcus was the lead. He taught me how to shoot, how to think tactically, how to see threats before they materialized. When my father died and I took over Ravel Dynamics, Marcus stayed. Not because I pay him, though I pay him very well, but because he feels responsible for me, like I'm still that 14-year-old girl he couldn't protect. You're not that girl anymore, Noah observed. No, Verena agreed, I'm not. But Marcus still sees her sometimes, especially when people like Vale come hunting. She selected a handgun from the rack, checked it with practiced efficiency. I learned to shoot when I was 15. Marcus insisted. Said being helpless once was enough. I hated it at first. The noise, the violence, the acknowledgement that the world was dangerous and I needed to be dangerous too. But I learned. Because Marcus was right. Being helpless once was enough. She set the gun down, turned to face Noah fully. So here's what I'm proposing. We work together. You provide the tactical expertise, the operational experience. I provide the resources, the intelligence, the infrastructure. Marcus provides the team and the oversight. Together, we figure out what Vale wants, and we end this threat permanently. Permanently as in we capture him, turn him over to authorities with enough evidence that he spends the rest of his life in a federal supermax prison, Verena clarified. No killing unless absolutely necessary. We do this the right way, the legal way. Because Luna is watching, even when she's asleep, even when she seems too young to understand. She's learning what kind of man her father is, what kind of person I am. And I'd rather teach her that justice doesn't require murder. Noah studied her face, looking for any sign of manipulation or hidden agenda, but all he saw was sincerity, determination, and something that looked almost like hope. You really believe that's possible? Taking down someone like Vale legally? I believe that wealth and power, properly applied, can do almost anything, Verena said. Vale operates in shadows because he has to. He lacks resources, lacks legitimacy, lacks the legal infrastructure to operate openly. We have all of those things. We can shine light into his shadows, expose his networks, cut off his resources. And when he's cornered, when he has nowhere left to hide, we hand him to Agent Chen with a bow on top. That's going to take time, Noah said. Weeks, maybe months. And Vale won't wait patiently while we dismantle his organization. He'll escalate, come at us harder. Let him, Verena said, and there was steel in her voice. Let him send more men. This building is a fortress. Marcus's team is exceptional. And now I have you, someone who can think like Vale's operatives, predict their moves, counter their tactics. We have every advantage except one. Which is? We're predictable, Verena admitted. I live here, work here. My routines are established, my patterns known. Vale can study me, watch me, plan around my schedule. But you're chaos, an unknown variable. He doesn't know your capabilities, your limits, your methods. That unpredictability is our greatest weapon. Noah considered her words. She was right. Tactical surprise was often more valuable than superior firepower. If Vale had been planning this operation for months, building intelligence on Verena's security, identifying vulnerabilities, the last thing he expected was a janitor who fought like a Tier 1 operator. So we use me as bait, Noah said. We use you as a catalyst, Verena corrected. You disrupt Vale's plans, force him to adapt, make him react instead of act. Every reaction creates patterns. Every adaptation reveals information. We use that information to build a case, identify his network, shut down his operations piece by piece until there's nothing left but Vale himself, trapped and desperate. And when he's desperate, he'll come personally, Noah finished. Make mistakes, expose himself. Exactly, Verena smiled grimly. Desperate men make errors, and errors are opportunities. Noah walked to the window, looking out over the city. Somewhere down there, Corin Vale was planning his next move. Somewhere out there, more killers were preparing to come for them. And in the guest suite behind him, his daughter slept, trusting that Daddy would keep her safe. 4 years ago, Noah had run from this life, buried the operator, become invisible, chosen safety over purpose. It had worked, mostly. Until tonight. Until 3 men came for Luna and everything came crashing back. Now he had a choice. Run again, take Luna and disappear into witness protection, live another 4 years looking over his shoulder. Or stand his ground, use the skills he'd tried to forget, and end this threat permanently. Not for himself, not for Verena, but for Luna. So she could grow up without fear. So she could be a normal kid who liked dinosaurs and chocolate chip pancakes. So she could go to school and make friends and never have to be as strong as she'd been forced to become. I'm in, Noah said finally. But we do this smart, controlled, no unnecessary risks. Luna's safety comes before everything else. Agreed, Verena said immediately. And I want full transparency, Noah continued. About Vale, about Ravel dynamics, about any skeletons in your closet that might come back to bite us. If we're going to war together, I need to know everything. Verena hesitated for just a moment, then nodded. Fair. I'll show you the full files tomorrow. Everything we know about Vale, his operations, his associates, and everything about me that someone might use as leverage. It's not pretty, Noah. Building an empire requires making deals with people you'd rather shoot. But I've never done anything illegal, and I've never directly ordered anyone's death. Directly, Noah repeated. Directly, Verena confirmed. There's blood on my money, Noah. That's the reality of defense contracting. The weapons Ravel Dynamics builds end up in wars, conflicts, operations where people die. I can claim it's for national security, that we're arming the good guys, but the truth is more complicated. The good guys sometimes do bad things. The weapons I authorize sometimes end up in the wrong hands. I sleep at night by telling myself I'm making the world safer, but some nights that's a lie I can't quite believe. Her honesty was startling. Why tell me this? Because if we're going to trust each other with our lives, with Luna's life, then we start with truth, Verena said. You asked who I really am. That's who I am. Someone who built something powerful from something terrible, and who carries the weight of every consequence that power creates. I'm not a hero, Noah. I'm just someone trying to do more good than harm. That makes two of us, Noah said quietly. They stood together at the window, two people bound by violence and the desperate hope that they could protect one innocent child from the darkness they both knew too well. Outside, the city slept. Inside, Luna dreamed, and somewhere in the space between safety and danger, Noah Calder and Verena Drakey began planning a war. The war came faster than either of them expected. 48 hours after the attack in the break room, Noah stood in Verena's command center, studying surveillance footage while Luna sat cross-legged on the floor nearby, explaining to her new tutor, an enthusiastic paleontology PhD named Dr. Sarah Winters, why the Ankylosaurus was objectively superior to all other armored dinosaurs. The normalcy of Luna's voice discussing tail clubs and defensive adaptations created a surreal counterpoint to the tactical briefing happening 6 feet away. Marcus pointed to a series of photographs spread across the digital table. We've identified 4 more of Vale's known associates in the city. 2 checked into hotels near the financial district. 1 rented an apartment overlooking this building. The 4th was spotted at a gun range in Jersey, practicing with high-powered rifles. Sniper, Noah said immediately. The apartment overlooking us is the spotter position. He's planning a long-range hit. Agreed, Marcus said. I've had counter-sniper teams sweep the building's exterior. We've identified 3 viable shooting positions within a mile radius. All are now under surveillance. Verena studied the photographs with cold precision. These men aren't Vale's top tier. They're expendable. He's testing our response time again, seeing how we adapt to known threats. While his real team prepares something else, Noah finished. Classic misdirection. We focus on the obvious threats while the real attack comes from an unexpected angle. So what's the unexpected angle? Marcus asked. Noah closed his eyes, thinking like an operator planning an extraction. The building was a fortress. Reinforced security, limited access points, surveillance covering every approach. A frontal assault would be suicide. A sniper attack was possible but complicated by countermeasures. Vehicle bombs were prevented by concrete barriers and inspection protocols. Chemical or biological attacks were mitigated by air filtration systems. That left infiltration or siege tactics. Get someone inside and strike from within, or trap them inside and wait for them to make a mistake. He's going to cut us off, Noah said, opening his eyes. Not attack the building directly. Attack the infrastructure, power, water, communications. Turn the fortress into a cage. Force us to either stay trapped or leave on his terms. Marcus's expression darkened. That's a significant escalation. Attacking critical infrastructure brings federal attention, homeland security, terrorism charges. Vale's already facing multiple felony charges, Verena pointed out. At this point, he's committed. Either he succeeds and disappears with enough money and resources to hide forever, or he fails and spends life in prison. There's no middle ground anymore. Then we need to harden our infrastructure, Noah said. Backup generators, water reserves, satellite communications that don't rely on city systems. Make the building truly independent. Already done, Verena said. After the London car bomb, I had Marcus implement full autonomy protocols. We can operate independently for up to 90 days if necessary. Power, water, food, medical supplies. Everything we need is stockpiled in secure sub-basements. Noah felt a grudging respect. You really did build a fortress. I built a survival pod, Verena corrected, because I learned young that safety is an illusion unless you control every variable. The only way to be truly safe is to need nothing and no one outside your controlled perimeter. That sounds lonely, Noah observed. Lonely is better than dead, Verena replied without emotion. Ms. Drake? Luna's voice interrupted. She stood beside the tactical display, tiger clutched in one hand, looking up at the photographs of Vale's associates with disturbing calm. Are these the bad men's friends? Noah moved immediately to intercept, but Verena crouched down to Luna's level first. They're people we're keeping track of, sweetheart, to make sure they don't cause problems. They look mean, Luna said matter-of-factly, like the men who tried to take me. Are they going to try again? Not if we stop them first, Verena said gently. That's what your father and Marcus and I are working on, making sure everyone stays safe. Will you have to hurt them? Luna asked. Like Daddy hurt the other bad men? Verena glanced at Noah, a silent question in her eyes. He nodded slightly. Luna was asking. She deserved honesty appropriate to her age. We're going to try very hard not to hurt anyone, Verena said carefully. But sometimes, when people are trying to do bad things, we have to stop them. And stopping them might mean they get hurt, even though we don't want that. Does that make sense? Luna considered this with her characteristic seriousness. Like when I fell off the swing and Daddy caught me but his arm got scratched? He didn't want to get hurt, but he did it to protect me. Exactly like that, Verena confirmed. Your father and I might get some scratches making sure you stay safe. But that's okay, because protecting you is more important than avoiding scratches. Okay, Luna said, apparently satisfied. She returned to Dr. Winters, who was diplomatically pretending not to have heard the conversation about armed criminals and tactical responses. Marcus waited until Luna was absorbed in her dinosaur discussion before speaking. That child has seen too much. That child has survived too much, Noah corrected quietly. There's a difference. I wish I could give her innocence back, but I can't. Best I can do is give her honesty and make sure she feels safe even when the world isn't. She's lucky to have you, Verena said. She's cursed to have me, Noah replied. If I wasn't her father, Vale wouldn't be targeting her. My past is the reason she's in danger. Your past is also the reason she's still alive, Marcus pointed out. Those 3 men in the break room would have taken her if you were just a janitor. Your training saved her. Before Noah could respond, every screen in the command center flickered. Once, twice, then went dark. Marcus was moving before the screens finished dying, pulling a tactical radio from his belt. All teams, report status. We have a power fluctuation in the command center. Static answered him. Communications are down, Marcus said, his voice flat and professional despite the implication. Internal and external. We're isolated. Verena's expression remained calm, but Noah saw her hand move to the concealed weapon at her hip. Emergency power should have kicked in immediately. 3 separate backup systems. Unless someone disabled them first, Noah said, already moving toward Luna. This is it. The real attack. He got someone inside. The emergency lighting flickered on, bathing everything in eerie red. Luna looked up, her eyes wide. Daddy? It's okay, sweetheart, Noah said, reaching her side. Just a power problem. Nothing to worry about. Dr. Winters stood, her professional demeanor cracking slightly. What should I do? Stay with Luna, Verena ordered, pulling her weapon and checking it with practiced efficiency. Marcus, secure the penthouse entrance. No one gets in or out without verification. Marcus was already moving, his team of 4 security personnel materializing from their positions throughout the penthouse. They moved with military precision, establishing a defensive perimeter around Luna and Dr. Winters while Marcus himself secured the elevator and stairwell access. Noah's mind raced through possibilities. Power down, communications down, but emergency systems also compromised. That meant inside access, someone with knowledge of the building's infrastructure, an employee, a contractor, or someone who'd been observing long enough to map the systems. The maintenance tunnels, Noah said suddenly. The sub-basements where you keep the supplies. There must be access points, service corridors that bypass main security. Verina's face went pale. The infrastructure level, 60 feet below ground. It's where all the backup systems are housed. If someone got down there, they could disable everything without ever entering the main building, Noah finished, and use the service elevators to move through the building undetected. An explosion shook the tower. Not close, somewhere far below, a deep rumbling that traveled up through the steel skeleton of the building. Luna screamed. Dr. Winters pulled her close, both of them dropping to the floor as trained civilians do when buildings shake and the world stops making sense. Marcus's radio crackled to life. Security Station 3 to command. We have a breach on the infrastructure level. Multiple hostiles. I repeat, multiple hostiles in the sub-basement. They've... Static drowned out the rest. How many men do you have on the infrastructure level? Noah demanded. 2, Marcus said grimly. It's normally a low-traffic area, just maintenance staff during business hours. Against how many hostiles? Unknown, but if they breached with explosives and our 2-man team is calling for backup, probably at least 8 to 10 operators. Noah did the math quickly. Marcus had 4 men here in the penthouse. Add Marcus himself, that was 5. The infrastructure team was 2, probably already neutralized. That left maybe a dozen security personnel scattered through the 75 floors of the building, most of them focused on external perimeter defense, not expecting an attack from below. We're outgunned, Noah said flatly. Vale sent a full tactical team. This isn't reconnaissance anymore, this is a full assault. Then we hold this position until federal response arrives, Marcus said. FBI protective detail is outside. SWAT can be here in 15 minutes. FBI detail is outside because Vale wanted them there, Noah countered. He planned this knowing they'd respond to the first attack, knowing Verena would have protection. He's counting on federal protocol. Secure the perimeter, establish communication, wait for tactical teams to clear the building floor by floor. That process takes hours. He only needs minutes. Verena moved to a wall panel, pressed her palm against it. Nothing happened. The biometric lock required power. She swore quietly, precisely, then physically pulled the panel off to reveal a manual override. 10 seconds later, the hidden armory door opened. Then we don't wait, Verena said, pulling body armor from the rack. We go on offense. Hit them while they're still clearing the lower floors. That's insane, Marcus said. We should be fortifying this position, not charging into an unknown number of hostiles. They're not unknown, Noah said, understanding Verena's logic. They're predictable. Vale sent them to extract you, which means they need you alive. They'll move up through the building, clearing floors, neutralizing security, until they reach this penthouse. Standard extraction protocol, which means we know exactly where they'll be and when, Verena finished. We ambush them between floors 20 and 30, force them to fight in stairwells where their numbers are a disadvantage. Split their team, isolate them, defeat them piecemeal. Marcus looked between them like they'd both lost their minds. You're talking about 2 people, a CEO and a janitor, taking on a trained tactical team in your own building. I'm talking about 2 people with every advantage, Verena countered. We know this building better than they do. We know which stairwells have cameras, which floors have defensive positions, where we can funnel them into kill zones without actually killing them. And we're defending our home, Marcus. That's worth 10 operators in enemy territory. What about Luna? Noah asked, the only question that mattered. Luna stays here with Dr. Winters and my security team, Verena said. This penthouse was designed to withstand a siege. Reinforced walls, steel doors, independent air supply. Even if Vale's team reaches this floor, they'll need heavy explosives to breach. That gives federal response time to arrive. And if they bring heavy explosives? Noah pressed. Then you and I make sure they never reach this floor, Verena said simply. Noah looked at his daughter, still huddled on the floor with Dr. Winters, her face pressed into Tiger's worn fabric. Everything in him screamed to stay here, protect her directly, never let her out of his sight. But Verena was right. The best protection was offensive action. Stop the threat before it reached Luna. End this now, decisively, so Vale's team couldn't regroup and try again. He crouched beside Luna, gently tilting her chin up so she met his eyes. Sweetheart, I need you to be very brave. Ms. Drake and I have to go stop the bad men before they get close. Can you stay here with Dr. Winters and Mr. Marcus's team? You're leaving? Luna's voice cracked, tears spilling down her cheeks. Daddy, don't leave. Please don't leave. I'm not leaving, Noah said, his heart breaking. I'm protecting. There's a difference. I'll be back before you know it, I promise. That's what Mommy said, Luna whispered. She said she'd be back, but she didn't come back. Noah felt something shatter inside him. He'd never told Luna the full truth about her mother's death. How could he explain that her mother had gone out to draw the attention of men hunting them, that she'd sacrificed herself so Noah and Luna could escape? How could he tell a 3-year-old that Mommy chose to die so baby could live? I'm coming back, Noah said firmly. I promise you, Luna, I'm coming back. And you know why? Why? Luna's voice was barely audible. Because you're my reason for everything, Noah said. Every choice I make, every risk I take, every fight I win, it's all for you, to keep you safe, to make sure you grow up happy and healthy and never have to be afraid. I'm coming back because a world without you in it isn't worth being in. Do you understand? Luna threw her arms around his neck, squeezing with desperate strength. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, sweetheart, Noah said, his voice thick. More than all the stars in the sky. More than all the dinosaurs that ever lived. More than anything. He stood, gently detaching Luna's arms and passing her to Dr. Winters, who held the crying child with surprising competence. Marcus moved to Noah's side, his expression grim. Bring her back alive, Marcus said quietly, nodding toward Verena. I've spent 14 years keeping that woman safe. Don't let this be the night I fail. I'll die before I let Vale take her, Noah promised. Try not to die, Marcus replied. Luna needs her father, and whether Verena admits it or not, she needs you too. Verena handed Noah a tactical vest, body armor, and a suppressed handgun. Non-lethal rounds, she said. Rubber bullets designed for close quarters incapacitation. Won't kill unless you hit someone in the head from point-blank range. Otherwise, just massive pain and temporary paralysis. Noah checked the weapon. Glock 19 modified with an extended magazine. 40 rounds of rubber-coated steel, each one capable of dropping a grown man without causing permanent damage. It wasn't ideal. Lethal rounds were more reliable, more certain, but it honored his promise to Luna, to himself, to the man he was trying to be instead of the killer he used to be. Stairwell B, Verena said, pulling on her own vest with efficient movements that spoke of practice. It's the most direct route from the infrastructure level to the executive floors. They'll use it because speed matters more than stealth once the attack is underway. We intercept them at floor 28, where the stairwell has a landing with limited sight lines. Force them to come at us 2 at a time. What about civilians? Noah asked. Employees working late, cleaning staff. Building lockdown initiated the moment power failed, Verena said. Automated system forces everyone to shelter in place on their current floor. Doors lock, elevators stop, everyone gets an emergency message to stay put. The stairwells should be clear except for Vale's team. Should be, Noah repeated. Nothing is certain, Verena acknowledged. But I'd rather risk encountering a lost employee than let Vale's team reach Luna unchallenged. Noah couldn't argue with that logic. He took one last look at his daughter, Luna watching him with those 2 wise eyes, tears streaming down her face but no longer screaming, understanding somehow that Daddy had to do this. And then he followed Verena toward the penthouse door. Marcus had already unsealed it, his team in defensive positions covering the hallway beyond. The emergency lighting cast everything in crimson shadows, transforming the familiar corridor into something alien and threatening. Communications are still down, Marcus reported. You'll be on your own until power is restored or federal teams breach the building. I'll try to reestablish contact, but assume you're isolated. Understood, Verena said. She looked at her security chief and something passed between them. Years of trust, mutual respect, and the unspoken acknowledgement that this might be the last time they saw each other alive. If we don't come back, you're coming back, Marcus interrupted firmly, Because I didn't spend 14 years turning you into a survivor just to watch you become a martyr. Go, fight, win. That's an order. Verena smiled, brief and genuine. Since when do I take orders from my employees? Since your employee knows you better than you know yourself, Marcus replied. Now get moving before Vale's team reaches the executive levels. Noah and Verena moved into the hallway, the penthouse door sealing behind them with a hydraulic hiss and the metallic thunk of reinforced locks engaging. The corridor stretched ahead, empty and ominous in the emergency lighting. Somewhere below, at least 8 trained operators were moving up through the building, killing or incapacitating anyone in their path. You're certain about this? Noah asked as they approached the stairwell access. Once we engage, there's no pulling back, no changing the plan. I've never been certain about anything in my life, Verena admitted, except that running from people like Vale never works. They keep coming, keep hunting, keep killing until you stand your ground and fight back. I learned that lesson in a basement in Vienna. I'm not forgetting it now. They entered stairwell B. The space was utilitarian concrete and steel, designed for emergency egress, not comfort. Their footsteps echoed as they descended, each landing taking them closer to the conflict below. Noah moved on point, weapon up, scanning corners and calculating angles with the automatic assessment of someone who'd done this hundreds of times in dozens of countries. Verena moved behind him, covering their 6 with surprising competence. She wasn't military, wasn't trained to the level Noah had been, but she'd clearly spent years learning from Marcus. Her breathing was controlled, her weapon steady, her positioning smart. She knew how to fight even if she lacked the muscle memory of a career operator. They reached floor 50. 45. Each floor they descended increased the likelihood of contact. Noah's heart rate remained steady, his mind clear, slipping into that cold operational mindset where fear became fuel and doubt dissolved into pure tactical focus. Floor 35. Noah held up a fist, signaling stop. Verena froze immediately. In the silence, Noah heard it, voices echoing up from below. Russian or Ukrainian, he couldn't tell which. At least 3 men, maybe 4, moving quickly but not quietly. Confident, expecting minimal resistance. Noah turned to Verena, used hand signals Marcus would have taught her. 4 hostiles, 2 floors below. Setting ambush position here. She nodded, understanding. They positioned themselves on the landing between floors 33 and 32. Noah took the high ground, pressed against the wall where he'd have first shot at anyone coming up the stairs. Verena positioned herself lower, where she could provide crossfire and catch anyone who made it past Noah's initial engagement. The voices grew louder, footsteps on concrete, heavy and fast. Noah controlled his breathing, finger resting lightly on the trigger guard. Not yet. Not yet. Wait until they're committed. No cover, no way to retreat without exposing themselves completely. The first man rounded the corner. He was tall, broad-shouldered, carrying an assault rifle with professional competence. His tactical gear was high-end, not military surplus, but custom equipment that cost serious money. His eyes swept the landing, started to track upward toward where Noah waited. Noah fired twice. Center mass. The rubber rounds hit with devastating force, designed to transfer maximum kinetic energy without penetration. The man's body armor absorbed some impact, but not enough. He went down hard, gasping, temporarily paralyzed by the massive trauma to his nervous system. The second man was already moving, weapon coming up. Noah fired again, this time aiming for the exposed thigh where no armor protected the major muscle groups. The man screamed, dropping his rifle as his leg collapsed beneath him. Third man. Fourth man. Both emerging onto the landing with weapons raised. Noah took the third man with 2 rapid shots to the abdomen. Verena engaged the fourth, her aim good but not great, hitting him in the shoulder instead of center mass. The man spun, his own weapon discharging harmlessly into the concrete ceiling. Noah fired once more, striking the fourth man in the chest. He collapsed. 4 men down in less than 6 seconds. But there were more. Noah heard them coming, heard the change in cadence as the tactical team realized they'd encountered resistance. Heard orders shouted in Russian, the universal language of military operations cutting through nationality and ideology. They're regrouping, Verena said, slightly breathless, probably calling for backup. Or preparing to rush us with overwhelming force, Noah replied. We can't stay here. They'll suppress us with automatic fire, then advance under cover. We need to move, change position, keep them reactive. They descended rapidly, taking the stairs 3 at a time. Noah led them to floor 28, the position Verena had originally identified. The landing here was larger, with the maintenance door offering potential exit if they needed to abort. Better sight lines, better tactical options. They'd barely set up when the team came, not cautiously this time, not assuming easy victory. They came hard and fast, 6 men moving with coordinated precision, laying down suppressing fire that chewed concrete and sent dust billowing through the stairwell. Noah and Verena both dove for cover, the maintenance door providing minimal protection. They're not using non-lethal rounds, Verena shouted over the gunfire. Vale's done being subtle, Noah replied. He blind fired around the corner, not expecting to hit anything but forcing the advancing team to slow their approach. We need to break their formation, force them to spread out. The maintenance corridors, Verena said. If we can lure them into the service passages, split them up. Too risky, Noah said. We don't know those corridors as well as the stairwells. Could get trapped. I know them, Verena insisted. I've walked every inch of this building, trust me. Noah looked at her, really looked at her, and saw the same desperate determination he felt when thinking about Luna. This was her building, her empire, her fortress. She knew it the way he knew how to fight, with absolute certainty born of necessity. Lead the way, Noah said. Verena pulled the maintenance door open. They slipped through as bullets sparked off the closing metal, entering a narrow corridor lit by failing emergency lights. The space was claustrophobic, designed for workers to access building systems, not for tactical operations, which made it perfect for an ambush. Verena led them 40 feet down the corridor, then into a junction where 3 passages met. They'll come through that door, she said, pointing. We set up here, in this alcove. When they enter, they'll be silhouetted against the stairwell light. We'll have clear shots while they're adjusting to the darkness. Noah positioned himself in the alcove, weapon trained on the maintenance door. Verena took position beside him, close enough that he could feel her breathing, fast but controlled. They waited in silence, broken only by distant gunfire and the groan of the building's stressed structure. The maintenance door exploded inward, not opened, blown off its hinges with a breaching charge that sent the metal slab skidding down the corridor. 3 men entered immediately, moving with the aggressive confidence of operators who'd done this 100 times before. Noah engaged the first man, 2 shots center mass that dropped him. Verena took the second, her aim better this time, hitting him in the chest and leg. The third man dove for cover, returning fire, but his position was exposed. Noah adjusted his aim, fired 3 rapid shots that caught the man in an unprotected side panel of his vest. The man went down hard. Silence fell, broken by labored breathing and the distant wail of sirens far below. 6 down, Noah said. Maybe 2 to 4 still active, plus however many are holding the infrastructure level. We need to keep moving, Verena said. They'll adapt, bring more firepower. We've bought Luna time, but we need to buy her more. They advanced through the maintenance corridors, Noah leading with weapon up, every sense hyper-alert. The building felt different in the emergency lighting, in the aftermath of violence. Like a living thing wounded and angry, its steel bones groaning protest against the invasion. They reached a service elevator, the kind used to move equipment between floors without disturbing regular building traffic. Verena pressed the call button. Nothing happened, no power to the systems. Manual override, she said, pulling open an access panel. Her fingers flew over mechanical controls that bypassed electronic systems. The elevator lurched to life, its ancient backup motor grinding as it descended. Where are we going? Noah asked. The infrastructure level, Verena said. If Vale's team is still holding it, we take it back. Cut off their control of building systems. Restore power, communications, bring federal response crashing down on whatever's left of their operation. That's their stronghold, Noah pointed out. They'll have it fortified, defended. Walking into it is suicide. Walking into it through the front door is suicide, Verena corrected. We're taking the maintenance access tunnel. Comes up behind the main infrastructure room. They won't be watching it because it's not on any official blueprints. My father had it built during original construction as a panic escape route. Only 3 people knew about it, my father, Marcus, and me. The elevator shuddered to a stop. The doors opened onto a sub-basement level that looked like it belonged in a completely different building. raw concrete, exposed pipes, the primal guts of the tower's infrastructure. Water dripped somewhere. Steam hissed. The air was thick and hot, heavy with industrial smells. Verena led them through a maze of passages, turning left, then right, then left again with absolute certainty. They descended a steep staircase into an area so deep Noah could feel the weight of the building above them, 75 floors of steel and concrete pressing down like the ocean depths. They reached a wall that looked solid. Verena pressed her palm against specific points. No electronic lock here, just mechanical pressure points that only worked if you knew exactly where and how to push. The wall swung inward, revealing a narrow tunnel barely wide enough for one person. "This tunnel is 100 yards long," Verena whispered. "Comes up in a storage closet adjacent to the main infrastructure control room. When we emerge, expect immediate contact. They'll have at least 2 men guarding the controls, maybe more." "How do you want to play this?" Noah asked. "Fast and overwhelming," Verena said. "We come through that door like the wrath of God. No hesitation, no mercy. Hit them before they can respond, secure the control room, restore systems." Noah studied her face in the dim emergency lighting. She looked fierce, determined, every inch the CEO who'd built an empire through will and ruthlessness. But underneath, he saw the 14-year-old girl who'd survived a basement in Vienna, who'd learned that the only way to be safe was to be stronger than every threat. "Let's end this," Noah said. They entered the tunnel. It was claustrophobic, dark, the emergency lighting barely penetrating this far into the building's hidden places. Noah led, moving carefully but quickly, his weapon up despite the tight quarters. Behind him, he could hear Verena's controlled breathing, the soft scuff of her shoes on concrete. They reached the far end. Noah pressed his ear against the wall panel, listening. Voices. At least 3 men, speaking Russian, relaxed and confident. They thought they'd won. Thought the building was locked down, the extraction team successfully engaging the defenders above, their mission almost complete. They were wrong. Noah looked back at Verena. She nodded once, fierce and certain. He turned, braced himself, and hit the release mechanism. The panel swung outward into a storage closet. Noah was through it before the panel finished opening, weapon up, already tracking targets. The infrastructure control room beyond was vast, filled with servers and control panels and monitoring stations. 2 men stood at the main console. A third sat in a chair, clearly the team leader coordinating something on a laptop. All 3 turned at the sound of the panel opening. Noah shot the closest man before he could raise his weapon. Verena emerged behind Noah, engaging the second man with 3 rapid shots that dropped him. The team leader was faster, diving behind a server rack while drawing his sidearm. "You are making a mistake," he called out in accented English. "We have no interest in killing you. Just surrender Ms. Drake and your daughter will not be harmed." "Not happening," Noah shouted back, using the communication to locate the man's position behind the servers. "Your team is down. 6 operators neutralized. It's over." 6 out of 14, the team leader corrected. "The rest are still advancing. By now they have reached the 40th floor. Soon they will reach the 15th floor, and then the penthouse. Your daughter will be taken whether you surrender or not. The only question is how many more people die before that happens." 14. Noah's blood ran cold. They'd only encountered 10 men total, which meant 4 more were somewhere in the building, moving toward Luna. Even with Marcus's defense, even with reinforced doors and defensive positions, 4 professional operators could potentially breach the penthouse, given enough time and explosives. "We need to move," Noah said to Verena. "Now. End this and get back to Luna." Back. Verena was already at the main console, her fingers flying over controls. 30 seconds to restore primary power. Communications will come up immediately after. The team leader laughed. 30 seconds is longer than you have. Noah saw the flash of movement, the team leader rolling out from behind the server rack with weapon raised. He fired twice, not at Noah, but at Verena. Noah threw himself in front of her, felt the impact of bullets against his tactical vest, the massive force driving air from his lungs. He went down hard but fired even as he fell, his own shots catching the team leader in the chest and shoulder. The man spun, his weapon clattering away. Noah fired twice more, putting him down permanently with shots that wouldn't kill but would keep him immobile for hours. "Noah!" Verena was beside him, hands checking for penetration wounds. "Talk to me. Are you hit?" "Vest caught it," Noah gasped, trying to pull air into his stunned lungs. "Hurts like hell, but nothing permanent." "You jumped in front of me," Verena said, and there was something like wonder in her voice. "You took bullets meant for me." "That's the job," Noah managed, forcing himself to sit up. "You restore power. I'll keep breathing. Fair division of labor." Verena returned to the console, her hands shaking slightly now, but still functional. She entered command codes, bypassed security protocols, restored systems with the confidence of someone who knew every line of code in the building's infrastructure. Lights flickered throughout the control room. Once, twice, then steady illumination replaced the emergency red, harsh and bright and beautiful. Computer screens came to life. Ventilation systems hummed back to full power, and most importantly, communication systems reconnected with the outside world. "This is Verena Drake to all security personnel," she said into the restored radio system. "Primary power restored. Hostile forces are active in the building. 4 operators last known position floors 40 to 50. Priority protection for penthouse level. Federal response. This is Drake Industries CEO requesting immediate tactical support. We have hostile operators in the building and civilians at risk." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Agent Chen's voice crackled through. "Ms. Drake, this is Chen. FBI tactical teams are breaching now. Hold your position. Do not engage further. Let us secure the building." "Negative," Verena replied. "My head of security and a civilian child are in the penthouse with 4 hostile operators approaching. I'm not waiting for protocol while they're at risk." "Ms. Drake," Verena cut the connection. She looked at Noah, who was climbing to his feet with some difficulty, his chest a massive bruise of pain, but nothing broken, nothing fatal. "Can you move?" she asked. "Can I move fast enough to reach Luna before Vale's operators?" Noah asked in return. "That's the real question." "The service elevator we came down on," Verena said. "It's slow, but it doesn't stop at every floor like the main elevators. We can ride it straight to 55. They ran, pain and exhaustion forgotten in the desperate race against time and enemies. The service elevator was where they'd left it, still on emergency power, still functional. They rode it up, floors ticking past with agonizing slowness. 40, 45, 50. Noah checked his weapon. 8 rounds remaining. Not enough for 4 trained operators unless every shot counted, unless he was faster and smarter and luckier than he'd ever been. 55. The doors opened onto chaos. The penthouse hallway was a war zone. Bullet holes stitched the walls. One of Marcus's security team lay motionless near the elevator bank. Smoke hazed the air, making everything dreamlike and terrible. And from behind the sealed penthouse door, Noah heard the unmistakable sound of close-quarters combat. Shouting, gunfire, Luna's scream. Noah ran. Verena was beside him, both of them sprinting toward the penthouse door. It was breached, blown open with precision charges that had peeled the reinforced steel back like paper. Beyond it, Marcus's remaining security team was engaged in desperate defense, outnumbered and outgunned. Noah entered the penthouse like a force of nature. He saw it all in the crystalline clarity of combat awareness. Marcus on the floor, bleeding from a leg wound but still fighting. 2 security personnel down, status unknown. Dr. Winters huddled in the corner with Luna clutched tight, and 4 operators in tactical gear advancing on them, weapons raised. Noah shot the closest operator in the back of the knee, the rubber round shattering his joint with devastating effect. The man went down screaming. Noah shifted aim, fired twice at the second operator, hitting him in the spine and shoulder. Verena engaged the 3rd operator, her shots wild but effective enough to force him into cover. The 4th operator turned, his weapon coming up toward Noah. Time seemed to slow. Noah saw the man's finger tightening on the trigger, saw the angle of the barrel tracking toward his head, knew with absolute certainty that his vest wouldn't stop a headshot at this range. Marcus tackled the operator from behind, his injured leg dragging but his upper body still powerful. They went down together, struggling for the weapon. Noah closed the distance in 3 strides, kicked the operator's gun away, and struck him twice in the face with controlled violence that left the man unconscious but alive. Silence fell, broken only by labored breathing and distant sirens growing closer. "Luna?" Noah gasped, turning. "Luna, where are you?" "Daddy!" She burst from Dr. Winter's protective embrace, running across the destroyed penthouse, Tiger trailing from one hand. Noah caught her, pulling her tight against his chest, feeling her small body shaking with terror and relief. "I've got you," Noah whispered into her hair. "I've got you, sweetheart. You're safe. You're safe." "You came back," Luna sobbed. "You promised you'd come back, and you did." "I'll always come back," Noah said. "Always, Luna. No matter what. I'll always come back to you." Behind them, federal tactical teams poured into the penthouse. Agent Chen appeared, taking in the scene with professional assessment. 4 neutralized operators, casualties among the security team, but both primary targets alive and unharmed. "Ambulances are on the way," she said. "Marcus needs immediate medical attention. We have 13 suspects in custody throughout the building, 1 deceased from prior injuries. But Noah..." She paused, her expression grim. "We didn't capture Corin Vale. He wasn't here. This was all his team, his operation, but the man himself is still at large." Noah felt cold certainty settle over him. Vale had never intended to lead the attack personally. He'd sent his team as a test, a probe, seeing if he could successfully extract Verena from her fortress. And now he knew the answer. He couldn't, not with conventional assault, which meant he'd adapt, escalate, try something more drastic, more desperate. The war wasn't over. It had just entered a new, more dangerous phase. But as Noah held Luna, as Verena moved to Marcus's side and began coordinating with federal responders, as the building slowly returned to something resembling normalcy, Noah allowed himself one moment of gratitude. They'd survived. Tonight, against overwhelming odds, they'd stood their ground and survived. And tomorrow, when Vale came again, they'd be ready. The aftermath of the assault transformed Ravel Dynamics Tower into a crime scene that would take federal investigators 3 days to fully process. Noah sat in a temporary command center that Agent Chen had established on the 45th floor, watching Luna sleep on a makeshift bed of cushions pulled from executive chairs. Dr. Winters had stayed despite the chaos, her quiet competence becoming an unexpected anchor for Luna as the adrenaline faded and the reality of what they'd survived settled in. Marcus was in surgery at Metropolitan Hospital, his leg wound more serious than he'd let on during the firefight. Verena had wanted to go with him, but Agent Chen had vetoed the idea with the flat authority of someone who'd seen too many protected witnesses killed in hospital parking lots. Instead, Verena paced the command center like a caged predator, her expensive suit replaced with borrowed tactical clothing that made her look less like a CEO and more like what she'd become during the attack, a soldier defending her territory. "Vale's team leader is talking," Agent Chen said, entering the room with a tablet. "Turns out facing life in a federal supermax makes people surprisingly cooperative. He's given us names, locations, operational details. We're executing raids across 6 states as we speak." "But not Vale himself," Noah said, knowing the answer before Chen spoke. "Vale wasn't at any of the locations," Chen confirmed. "He's too smart to be anywhere his team knew about. They received orders through encrypted channels, dead drops, cutouts. Classic intelligence tradecraft designed to protect the principal from exposure." Verena stopped pacing. "So we neutralized his team, but the actual threat remains untouched." "That's one way to look at it," Chen said. "Another way is that Vale just lost his primary operational asset, 14 trained operators, all either in custody or in the hospital. That's not something you rebuild overnight. It takes years to recruit, vet, and train that kind of capability. For now, Vale is effectively neutered." "For now," Noah repeated, "until he rebuilds, or hires a new team, or gets desperate enough to act personally." Chen sat down across from him, her expression weary. "You're not wrong. Vale is still dangerous, but he's also smart enough to recognize when he's been beaten tactically. Tonight was a disaster for him. Total loss of assets, no mission success, increased federal attention. Most rational actors would cut their losses, disappear, resurface somewhere else with a new identity and new operations." "Is Vale a rational actor?" Verena asked. Chen hesitated. "That's the question, isn't it? Every profile we have says yes. He's methodical, patient, risk-averse, when it doesn't serve his interests. But this entire operation has been uncharacteristically aggressive for him. Attacking a fortified corporate headquarters in a major American city? That's not his usual style. He prefers softer targets, less attention, cleaner exits." Which means someone is pushing him, Noah said, the pieces clicking together. Someone with enough leverage to make Vale take risks he'd normally avoid. Someone who wants Verena badly enough to burn Vale's entire operation to get her. Verena's face went pale. My father's enemies. The ones who wanted Ravel Dynamics destroyed when he died. They've been waiting 10 years for another opportunity, and now they see you as vulnerable because of me, Noah finished. Because I exposed the security gaps by defending Luna. Because tonight proved that even a fortress can be breached with enough determination. That's a theory, Chen said carefully, but we have no evidence of a larger conspiracy. Sometimes the simplest explanation is correct. Vale wanted revenge for the contract loss. He tried and failed. And now he'll disappear rather than risk further exposure. You don't believe that, Verena said flatly. I can see it in your face, Agent Chen. You think there's something bigger here. Chen was silent for a long moment, weighing how much to reveal. Finally, she pulled up files on her tablet, hesitated again, then turned the screen toward them. This is classified, but given that you're both targets and witnesses, I'm exercising discretion. 3 weeks ago, our financial crimes unit flagged unusual activity in several offshore accounts connected to Ravel Dynamics competitors. Large transfers, shell companies, payments to known fixers and facilitators. The pattern suggested preparation for a major operation. An operation targeting my company, Verena said. Targeting you specifically, Chen corrected. The money moved after you personally testified before Congress about irregularities in defense contract bidding. You exposed corruption that cost several major players billions in revenue. That kind of loss makes powerful enemies. Noah studied the financial data, his mind translating numbers into threat assessment. These aren't just corporate rivals. These are people who operate above the law, who see murder as acceptable business practice. Taking out Verena removes a witness and sends a message to anyone else considering cooperation with federal investigators. That's our working theory, Chen admitted. But proving it requires connecting Vale to the people funding him, and he's been very careful to maintain operational security. Even with his team leader cooperating, we don't have direct evidence of who hired Vale or why. Then we get it, Verena said simply. We draw Vale out again, but this time we're ready. We capture him, make him talk, follow the money trail to whoever's really behind this. You're not a law enforcement officer, Chen said. This is a federal investigation now. You need to step back, let us handle it. With all respect, Agent Chen, your investigation will take months or years, Verena replied. Vale's employers will use that time to cover their tracks, eliminate evidence, maybe even eliminate Vale himself to protect their exposure. By the time you have a prosecutable case, everyone involved will be protected by expensive lawyers and political connections. That's how the system works, Chen said, but there was frustration in her voice. I don't like it either, but I can't just ignore procedure and protocol because they're inconvenient. I'm not asking you to ignore anything, Verena said. I'm proposing cooperation. I have resources you don't. Intelligence networks, corporate connections, the kind of access that takes federal subpoenas months to achieve. Let me help. Share information, coordinate strategy. We go after Vale together, legally and officially. Chen looked at Noah. What do you think? You've been quiet. Noah glanced at Luna, still sleeping peacefully, despite the chaos around her. She looked so small, so vulnerable, so utterly dependent on him to keep her safe. Everything in him wanted to grab her, run, disappear again into anonymity. But he'd learned the hard way that running only delayed the inevitable. Men like Vale, like whoever was funding him, they didn't stop. They just kept hunting until you stood your ground or died trying to escape. I think Vale made a mistake tonight, Noah said slowly. He showed us his capabilities, his tactics, his vulnerabilities. Now we know how he operates. We can predict his next move. And what is his next move? Chen asked. He can't assault the tower again. Too costly, too much federal attention. He can't snipe from distance. We have countermeasures, and he knows it. He can't poison or bomb. Security is too tight. So he goes back to basics. Find the weakness, exploit it, achieve mission objectives with minimal exposure. Luna, Verena said quietly, she's the weakness. Vale will try to take her, use her as leverage. He'll try, Noah agreed, but we're not giving him the opportunity. Luna stays protected here in the tower until Vale is neutralized. No exceptions, no risks, no matter how long it takes. Luna stirred at the sound of her name, her eyes opening slowly. She looked around the unfamiliar room, momentarily disoriented, then focused on Noah. "Daddy? Did we win?" "We survived, sweetheart," Noah said, moving to her side. "That's all that matters." "But the bad man, the one who sent the others, he's still out there, isn't he?" Luna's voice was small but steady. "I heard you talking. He's going to try again." Noah wanted to lie, to tell her everything was fine, that the danger had passed. But Luna had seen too much, understood too much. She deserved honesty appropriate to her age and resilience. "Yes," Noah said. "The man who sent those people is still out there. But we're going to stop him. Ms. Drake and Agent Chen and I. We're going to make sure he can never hurt anyone again. Can you be brave a little longer? Stay here in the tower where it's safe?" "I've been brave for a really long time," Luna said, and there was something heartbreaking in her matter-of-fact tone. "Since Mommy died. I can be brave more if that's what you need." "You shouldn't have to be," Noah said, his voice thick. "You should get to be a normal 7-year-old who worries about homework and playground drama, not armed men and tactical assaults." "But I'm not a normal 7-year-old," Luna replied with the brutal honesty of children. "Normal 7-year-olds have mommies. Normal 7-year-olds don't sleep in office break rooms while their daddies mop floors. Normal 7-year-olds don't get attacked by bad men." She paused. "I'm not normal, Daddy, but that's okay, because you're not normal either, and that's how you keep me safe." The silence that followed was profound. Agent Chen looked away, her professional composure cracking slightly. Verena's eyes glistened with something that might have been tears if she allowed herself such displays. And Noah felt something shift inside him, an acceptance that he'd been fighting for 4 years. He wasn't normal. Luna wasn't normal. Their life together would never be the simple, anonymous existence he'd tried to build. Because the world they lived in, the real world beneath the comfortable illusions most people enjoyed, was filled with people like Vale, like the operators who'd attacked tonight, like the shadowy employers funding it all. And someone needed to stand against that darkness, even if it meant sacrificing normalcy for survival. "You're right," Noah said quietly. "We're not normal, but we're together. And we're alive, and we're going to stay that way." "Okay," Luna said, apparently satisfied. "Can I have breakfast now? Miss Drake promised pancakes, and I've been very patient." Despite everything, Noah laughed. The resilience of children, their ability to compartmentalize trauma and focus on immediate needs, never ceased to amaze him. "I think pancakes can be arranged. Agent Chen, any objections to feeding my daughter?" "None whatsoever," Chen said, her own composure restored. "In fact, I could use some breakfast myself. It's been a long night." Verena made arrangements with the tower's executive chef, who'd been trapped on the 30th floor during lockdown and was apparently thrilled to have something productive to do. Within 30 minutes, they were gathered around a conference table that had been cleared of tactical displays and covered with white tablecloth, eating what Noah had to admit were the finest pancakes he'd ever tasted. Luna sat between him and Verena, carefully drowning her stack in syrup exactly as promised, while Dr. Winters, who'd been invited to join them, made polite conversation about dinosaur extinction theories. Agent Chen received a steady stream of updates via text message, her expression growing increasingly satisfied with each one. "Vale's network is collapsing," she said between bites of Eggs Benedict. "Every location we raided is yielding evidence, financial records, communications logs. We've arrested 17 people so far, and I expect that number to double by end of day. Vale built an impressive organization, but it's all falling apart now that the foundation is cracked." "Where does that leave Vale himself?" Verena asked. "Isolated," Chen said. "No team, no infrastructure, no operational capability. He's effectively alone now, which makes him less dangerous in some ways, but more unpredictable in others. A cornered animal is always the most desperate." "So we wait for him to make a mistake," Noah said. "We wait and we watch," Chen confirmed. "Every known associate is under surveillance. Every communication channel is monitored. Every border crossing, every airport, every possible escape route is flagged. Sooner or later, Vale will surface. And when he does, we'll be ready." Luna finished her pancakes, pushed her plate away with satisfaction, then turned to Verena. "Ms. Drake, When this is all over, when the bad man is caught, can I go back to my real school? I like Dr. Winters, she's very nice and knows lots about dinosaurs. But I miss my friends. I miss recess and art class and library time. Verina's expression softened in a way Noah had never seen before. Yes, sweetheart, when it's safe, you can go back to your school and your friends and everything else you've had to give up. I promise. Do you keep your promises? Luna asked with characteristic directness. Always, Verena said. I promised your father I'd help keep you safe, and I've kept that promise. I promised you pancakes, and you got pancakes. I don't make promises I can't keep, Luna. It's bad business and worse character. Luna considered this seriously, then nodded. Okay, I believe you. She yawned, the early morning finally catching up with her adrenaline-fueled reserves. Can I go back to sleep now? In a real bed this time, not on chairs? I'll show you to the guest suite, Dr. Winters offered. There's a very comfortable bed, and I believe we can find some appropriate pajamas in your size. As Dr. Winters led Luna away, Noah felt the exhaustion hit him like a physical force. He'd been running on adrenaline and necessity for hours, and now that Luna was safe and fed and heading toward actual rest, his body decided it was time to shut down. You should sleep too, Verena said, reading his expression. There's another guest suite, fully furnished. You've earned rest after tonight. I should stay awake, Noah protested. In case what? Agent Chen interrupted. In case Vale teleports into the building past federal security and my tactical teams? You're exhausted, Mr. Calder. You took bullets to your vest, fought running battles through multiple floors, and carried your daughter through a war zone. Sleep. That's not a suggestion. Noah wanted to argue, but he recognized the wisdom in her words. He was no good to Luna or anyone else if he collapsed from exhaustion. 2 hours, he compromised. Then I wake up and we plan next steps. 4 hours, Verena countered, and that's non-negotiable. I need you sharp, Noah, not running on fumes and stubbornness. Noah nodded, too tired to fight. Verena led him to a suite 2 doors down from where Luna was settling in, a space of almost offensive luxury after their cramped apartment. King-sized bed, marble bathroom, windows overlooking the city as dawn broke over the skyline. Thank you, Noah said at the doorway. For everything. For protecting Luna, for fighting beside me, for doing what anyone decent would do, Verena interrupted. Don't thank me, Noah. If anything, I owe you thanks. You could have taken Luna and run when all this started. Could have let me face Vale alone. Instead, you stood your ground and saved countless lives in the process. That's not something I take lightly. I didn't do it for gratitude, Noah said. I did it because running wasn't going to work anymore. Because Luna deserves better than a life spent hiding. Because he paused, trying to articulate something he barely understood himself. Because after 4 years of being invisible, it felt good to be real again. To use my skills for something that mattered instead of pretending I was someone I'm not. Verena studied him with those ice blue eyes that seemed to see everything. You're not the same man who walked into that break room 4 days ago. The janitor is gone. The operator is back. Maybe, Noah admitted, or maybe I'm finally figuring out how to be both. How to be Luna's father and still be capable of protecting her. How to build a life that acknowledges what I am instead of hiding from it. That's a good goal, Verena said. If you figure out how to do it, let me know. I've spent 14 years trying to balance being Verena the survivor and Verena the CEO, and I'm still not sure I've succeeded. Most days I feel like I'm playing a role, pretending to be the confident leader while inside I'm still that terrified 14-year-old in a basement, waiting for someone to save me. You saved yourself tonight, Noah pointed out. You fought beside me as an equal. That's not someone waiting for rescue. Maybe, Verena said, echoing his earlier response. Or maybe I've just gotten better at hiding the fear. She stepped back. Sleep, Noah. When you wake up, we'll figure out how to end this, permanently. Noah entered the suite, closed the door, and stood for a moment in the profound silence. Through the walls, he could faintly hear Luna talking to Dr. Winters about Ankylosaurus defensive adaptations, the normalcy of it, the absolute mundane beauty of his daughter discussing dinosaurs while safe and fed and protected broke something loose in his chest. He sat on the edge of the bed and let himself feel it. All the terror he'd suppressed during the fight, all the desperate love that drove him to take bullets meant for Verena, all the crushing weight of responsibility for Luna's safety. Tears came, quiet and unstoppable, and Noah didn't fight them. Just let them flow while his body shook with the release of impossible stress. When the tears finally stopped, he felt hollowed out, but also strangely lighter. He lay back on the bed, not bothering to undress, and fell into sleep so profound it felt like death. He woke to Luna's scream. Noah was out of bed and through the door before conscious thought caught up with muscle memory. He sprinted the short distance to Luna's suite, burst through the door, weapon drawn despite knowing he'd left it secured in Verena's armory. Luna sat upright in bed, tiger clutched tight, her face wet with tears. Dr. Winters was beside her, one comforting hand on her shoulder. No threat. No danger. Just a child waking from nightmares that were really memories. "I'm here, sweetheart," Noah said, crossing to the bed and pulling Luna into his arms. "I'm right here. You're safe." "I dreamed the bad men came back," Luna sobbed. "They took you away and I was all alone and no one could find me and I was so scared, Daddy. So scared." "Just a dream," Noah murmured, rocking her gently. "Just a dream. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere, I promise." "You can't promise that," Luna said with devastating clarity. "Mommy promised too. She said she'd come back and she didn't. You can't promise you won't leave too." Noah felt his heart shatter. He'd spent 4 years trying to protect Luna from this exact realization that the world was cruel and random and full of losses that no amount of love could prevent. But she'd figured it out anyway, because children are resilient and perceptive and brutally honest about realities adults spend lifetimes denying. "You're right," Noah said quietly. "I can't promise I'll never leave. Someday, hopefully when you're very old and I'm very, very old, I won't be here anymore. But Luna, I can promise that every single day I am here, I will do everything in my power to come back to you. I will fight harder than anyone has ever fought. I will be smarter and faster and more determined than any threat that comes at us. I can't promise perfect safety because perfect safety doesn't exist, but I can promise perfect effort. Can that be enough?" Luna pulled back slightly, looking up at him with red-rimmed eyes. "Will you teach me?" "Teach you what, sweetheart?" "How to fight," Luna said. "How to protect myself. How to be brave like you. Because if something happens, if the bad men come when you're not there, I want to be able to stop them. I don't want to be helpless." Noah looked at Dr. Winters, who gave a small, helpless shrug. This was parenting territory far beyond her expertise. He thought about his own childhood, the way he'd been raised to be strong and capable and self-reliant. Thought about the cost of that upbringing, the way it had shaped him into someone who saw threats everywhere and trusted almost no one. Did he want that for Luna? Did he want to turn his innocent daughter into a miniature operator, trained and paranoid and perpetually on guard? But then he thought about her question. What happens when I'm not there? What happens if Vale or someone like him gets past all the defenses and Luna is alone? Did he love her enough to let her be helpless, or did he love her enough to give her tools to survive even the worst scenarios? "I'll teach you," Noah said finally. "Not how to fight. You're 7 years old, sweetheart. But I'll teach you how to be aware, how to recognize danger, how to get to safety when you need to, how to be smart and careful and prepared. Is that okay?" "When do we start?" Luna asked. "Tomorrow," Noah said, "after you've slept and eaten and played with your dinosaurs. Being prepared doesn't mean being scared all the time, Luna. It means being smart enough to enjoy the good times while staying ready for the bad ones. Can you understand that difference?" "I think so," Luna said. "Like how Ankylosaurus had armor but still played and ate plants and did normal dinosaur things. The armor was just there in case predators came." "Exactly like that," Noah said, grateful for his daughter's dinosaur obsession providing perfect metaphors. "You're going to learn to be an Ankylosaurus, protected but not scared, ready but not hiding, okay?" "Okay," Luna agreed. She yawned, her body finally accepting that the nightmare was over and sleep was safe. "Will you stay until I fall asleep?" "I'll stay as long as you need," Noah promised. He sat on the edge of her bed, holding her hand while Dr. Winters dimmed the lights and quietly excused herself. Luna's breathing gradually steadied. her grip on his hand loosening as sleep reclaimed her. Noah sat in the darkness, watching his daughter's peaceful face, and wondered what kind of world would make a 7-year-old ask to learn self-defense. A world like the one they lived in, he supposed. A world where predators like Vale existed, where violence was always one bad decision away, where survival required constant vigilance. He hated that world, hated that Luna had to grow up in it, aware of dangers that most children her age never even imagined. But she was alive, and aware, and resilient in ways that gave him hope. Maybe that was enough. Maybe teaching her to be an ankylosaurus, armored but not aggressive, protected but not paranoid, was the best he could offer. He stayed until he was certain Luna was deeply asleep, then slipped out quietly. The hallway was empty, the tower settling into an uneasy peace as federal agents maintained their perimeter and investigators continued processing evidence 30 floors below. Noah found Verena in her private office, surrounded by monitors displaying news coverage of the attack. Every major network was running the story. Attempted assault on Ravel Dynamics, multiple arrests, CEO safe but shaken. Speculation ran wild about motives and connections. Talking heads debating corporate espionage versus terrorism versus simple criminal enterprise. "They're calling you a hero," Verena said without turning around. "The janitor who saved the CEO and stopped a terrorist attack. There are already 3 different production companies wanting to option your life rights for a movie." "I don't want to be a hero," Noah said. "I want to be invisible again." "Too late for that," Verena replied. "Your face is on every news site, every social media platform. The invisible janitor doesn't exist anymore. Now you're Noah Calder, the mysterious security professional with classified past who single-handedly defended one of America's largest defense contractors." Noah felt cold dread settle in his stomach. Vale will see that coverage. He'll know exactly who I am now, what I'm capable of. He'll adapt his strategy. "Yes," Verena agreed, "which is why Agent Chen and I have been discussing options. She wants to put you in witness protection immediately. New identity, new location, new life for you and Luna. Disappear completely while the investigation continues." "What do you want?" Noah asked. Verena finally turned to face him. "I want you to stay. Work for me officially as Director of Security. Help me rebuild the protocols that failed tonight. Use your expertise to make sure no one can ever breach this fortress again. And yes, that's selfish. I'm asking you to stay in danger to benefit my company. But I'm also offering you something witness protection never can." "Which is?" "A life," Verena said simply. "Not hiding, not running, not being someone you're not. A real life where Luna goes to her school and you use your skills and we build something together that makes the world marginally safer. Where you get to be both the father and the operator, not choosing between them." "Vale will come after me if I stay," Noah pointed out. "Vale will come after you wherever you go," Verena countered. "The only question is whether you face him from a position of strength or a position of hiding. I know which I'd choose, but you have a daughter to think about, so the decision is entirely yours." Noah walked to the windows, looking out over the city as dawn brightened into full morning. Somewhere out there, Corin Vale was planning his next move. Somewhere out there, powerful people who'd hired Vale were calculating their options. And somewhere very close, Luna was sleeping with Tiger clutched tight, trusting that Daddy would make the right choice. What was the right choice? Run and hide, keep Luna safe through anonymity? Or stay and fight, keep her safe through strength? Both had risks. Both had costs. There was no perfect answer, no guaranteed safety. But there was truth. And the truth was that Noah was tired of hiding, tired of pretending, tired of being less than he was. The truth was that Luna deserved a father who faced threats instead of fleeing them. The truth was that Verena had offered him something precious, acceptance of who he really was, operator and father both, without demanding he choose between identities. "I'll stay," Noah said, "on 2 conditions." "Name them." "First, Luna's safety is the priority. Always. If staying here puts her at greater risk than witness protection, we leave immediately. No argument, no negotiation. Her life matters more than any job or any principle." "Agreed," Verena said without hesitation. "What's the second condition?" "We end this," Noah said, turning to face her. Not just survive Vale's next attack. Not just defend against threats. We go on offense. We find Vale, we find whoever hired him, and we dismantle the entire network permanently. I don't want Luna growing up knowing that somewhere out there, someone is still hunting us. I want her to have actual peace, not just temporary safety between attacks. Verena smiled, and there was something fierce in it. Now you're speaking my language. Agent Chen won't like us taking proactive action, but I think I can convince her that cooperation beats obstruction. Between your tactical expertise, my resources, and federal investigative power, we can find Vale. And when we do, we end him, Noah finished. Not kill him, but end his capability to hurt anyone ever again. Capture him, expose his network, turn him into a cautionary tale about what happens when you attack innocent people. That's a good plan, Verena said. Now we just need to figure out how to execute it. Vale is smart, experienced, and currently very motivated to stay hidden. Finding him won't be easy. Nothing worth doing ever is, Noah replied. But I have some ideas about where to start. Vale lost his team, but he didn't lose his contacts or his reputation. He'll need to rebuild, which means reaching out to people who can provide resources. And every contact he makes is a potential vulnerability we can exploit. I'll have my intelligence analysts start mapping his known network, Verena said. Cross-reference with the information Chen's getting from the arrested operatives. Someone, somewhere knows where Vale is hiding. We just need to find that someone and persuade them to share. Persuade, Noah repeated with a slight smile. That's a diplomatic word for what might be necessary. I prefer to maintain plausible deniability, Verena said. But yes, persuasion may take forms that exist in legal gray areas. Are you comfortable with that? Noah thought about Luna's nightmare, her tear-stained face, her request to learn self-defense because she couldn't trust that Daddy would always be there. Thought about 4 years of running, of hiding, of teaching his daughter that safety meant invisibility. I'm comfortable with whatever it takes to protect my daughter, Noah said. Gray areas don't scare me. They're where most real protection happens anyway, in the spaces between perfect legality and absolute necessity. As long as we're not crossing lines that turn us into Vale's mirror image, I can live with gray. Then we're agreed, Verena said. She extended her hand. Partners. In protecting Luna, in defending this company, in ending Vale's threat. Equal footing, shared risk, honest communication about every decision. Noah took her hand, felt the strength in her grip that came from years of surviving in a hostile world. Partners, he agreed. Now let's figure out how to kill a ghost. They spent the next hour mapping strategy, calling in Agent Chen for coordination, debating approaches and tactics and acceptable risks. By the time the sun fully rose over the city, they had the outline of a plan. Aggressive, dangerous, possibly insane, but with enough chance of success to be worth attempting. And in the guest suite 2 doors down, Luna slept peacefully, unaware that her father and the CEO, who'd become an unexpected ally, were planning a war on her behalf. Unaware that somewhere in the city, Corin Vale was making plans of his own. Unaware of anything except that Daddy had promised to come back. And Daddy always kept his promises. Almost always, Noah corrected himself, because perfect promises were impossible in an imperfect world. But he could try. Could fight harder than he'd ever fought, be smarter than he'd ever been, risk more than was reasonable or sane. For Luna, he could do anything, even hunt a ghost. The ghost revealed himself 3 weeks later, not through carelessness, but through calculated desperation. Noah was teaching Luna basic situational awareness in Verena's private gym, how to identify exits, how to recognize when someone was watching, how to move through space with purpose instead of distraction. When Agent Chen's call came through, he listened for 30 seconds, his expression darkening with each word, then carefully set down his phone and crouched to Luna's level. Sweetheart, I need you to go with Dr. Winters for a while. Daddy has work to do. Luna's face, which had been bright with concentration moments before, closed off with the premature wisdom of a child who'd learned that work meant danger. The bad man? We have information about where he might be, Noah said carefully. Ms. Drake and I need to go check it out, but you'll be safe here with Dr. Winters and Marcus's team. Marcus had returned from the hospital 2 weeks prior, his legs still healing but his determination intact. He'd immediately resumed command of Verena's security, implementing new protocols that turned the tower into something approaching a military installation. Luna had adopted him as a surrogate uncle, much to the grizzled operator's poorly concealed delight. "Promise you'll come back," Luna said, and Noah heard the fear beneath her forced calm. "I promise I'll do everything I can," Noah replied, holding to the honest formulation they'd agreed upon. "And you know what? When I get back, we'll go get real pancakes. Not from the tower chef, from that diner you love, the one with the jukebox." "The one outside?" Luna's eyes widened. "But we haven't left the tower in 3 weeks." "I know," Noah said. "And if tonight goes the way we're planning, we won't need to stay locked in here anymore. You can go back to your real school, see your real friends, have your real life back." "How does that sound?" "It sounds too good to be real," Luna said with heartbreaking skepticism. "Things don't just get better, Daddy. They get worse, or they stay scary." Noah pulled her into a tight embrace, feeling the slight tremor in her small body. 3 weeks of lockdown had taken their toll despite everyone's best efforts. Luna was resilient, but resilience had limits. She needed normalcy, needed childhood, needed to be more than just a target in a corporate fortress. "Sometimes things do get better," Noah said quietly. "Sometimes the monsters get caught, and the scary parts end, and you get to just be a kid again. I'm going to try to make that happen tonight, okay?" Luna nodded against his chest, then pulled back and squared her small shoulders. "Okay, but Daddy, if the bad man tries to hurt you, you hurt him first. I don't want you to be nice to people who aren't nice. I want you to come home." The words from a 7-year-old carried weight that made Noah's chest ache. "I will, sweetheart. I promise I'll come home." Dr. Winters appeared in the doorway, reading the situation with her usual perceptiveness. "Luna, I found the most fascinating documentary about Cretaceous marine reptiles. Want to come see if they got the mosasaurus size correct?" Luna allowed herself to be redirected, but she looked back 3 times as Dr. Winters led her away, each glance a silent plea for her father to keep his promise. Noah found Verena in the command center, already dressed in tactical gear, studying satellite imagery on the main display. Agent Chen stood beside her, along with Marcus and 2 federal tactical team leaders Noah had been working with over the past weeks. "Vale made contact with one of his old suppliers," Chen said without preamble. "Arms dealer based in Newark. We've had him under surveillance since the tower assault, and this morning he received a coded message requesting a meeting. Tonight, 10 p.m., at an abandoned industrial site near the port." "Could be a trap," Noah said immediately. "Vale knows we'd be monitoring his associates. He could be using this to draw us out." "Could be," Chen agreed. "But our source inside the suppliers organization confirms Vale is desperate. He's lost everything: his team, his reputation, his operational capability. The people who hired him are demanding results or refunds, and Vale doesn't do refunds. He needs weapons, equipment, probably trying to recruit new operators for one last attempt." "One last attempt at what?" Verena asked. "He has to know the tower is impregnable now. Even with new resources, he can't succeed where 14 trained operators failed." "He's not targeting the tower," Chen said, and Noah felt ice flood his veins. "According to our source, Vale is done with direct assault. He's going for leverage. Specifically," she paused, her expression grim, "he's asking about extraction specialists. People who can grab targets from protected locations and disappear without trace." "Luna," Noah said flatly. "He's going after Luna directly." "We don't know that for certain," Chen said, but her tone said otherwise. "But yes, that's the logical conclusion. Vale knows he can't get to Verena through force, so he's reverting to his original plan. Take Luna, force you to cooperate, complete his mission that way." Noah's hands clenched into fists. For 3 weeks, they'd been playing defense, waiting for Vale to make a mistake. And now he had. Not through carelessness, but through the desperate logic of a man with no options left. Vale was gambling everything on one final move, and that made him either brilliantly unpredictable or suicidally reckless. "So we take him tonight," Noah said. "At the meeting, he's expecting an arms dealer and maybe federal surveillance. He's not expecting us to be there waiting." "That's the plan," Chen confirmed, "but understand the risks. If Vale suspects a trap, he won't show. If we spook him, he disappears and we're back to square one. And if he does show and we engage, there's a chance he escapes, or worse, people get hurt. This is not a clean, simple operation. Nothing about this has been clean or simple, Verena said. But Chen's right. We need to be smart about this. Vale is cornered, which makes him dangerous. We can't just rush in with overwhelming force. So what do you suggest? Noah asked. Verena pulled up architectural plans of the industrial site. The meeting is in a warehouse that's been abandoned for 5 years. Multiple entry points, lots of cover, good sight lines in all directions. Perfect for Vale to observe approaches and have escape routes. If we flood the zone with federal agents, he'll see them coming and abort. So we don't flood the zone, Noah said, understanding her logic. We go small, minimal footprint. Make it look like the arms dealer showed up alone, exactly as expected. With you inside, Verena finished, disguised as the dealer's associate. Close enough to positively identify Vale. Signal federal teams when you've confirmed his presence. Then Chen's people move in from pre-positioned locations, and we take him cleanly. That's insane, Marcus said. You're proposing Noah walk into a meeting with a professional killer who has every reason to shoot first and ask questions. Never. One wrong look, one tiny tell, and Vale puts a bullet in him. Vale needs this meeting, Noah countered. He's desperate, which means he's taking risks he'd normally avoid. And I can pass as a criminal associate. I've done undercover work before. If the approach is right, if the dealer sells it properly, Vale will engage long enough for positive ID. And if he doesn't, Marcus pressed, if he smells the trap? Then I'm alone in a warehouse with a killer and limited backup, Noah said. I understand the risks, Marcus. But we're not getting another opportunity like this. Vale is exposing himself out of desperation. We either exploit that or we wait for him to regroup, rebuild, and come after Luna with better planning. I'm not willing to let that happen. Neither am I, Verena said. But I'm also not willing to send you in without backup. I'm coming with you. The room erupted in immediate protest. Agent Chen's voice cut through the chaos. Absolutely not. You're the target, Ms. Drake. Having you anywhere near Vale is exactly what will sell the trap, Verena interrupted. Think about it. Vale has been hunting me for weeks. If I suddenly appear at this meeting, not as a target but as the arms dealer's client, someone powerful enough to require high-end weapons and security, it creates a perfect narrative. Vale sees me, sees an opportunity, gets greedy. That greed makes him careless. Or it makes him immediately violent, Marcus said. The moment he recognizes you, he could just start shooting. Not if he thinks he can take me alive, Verena replied. Remember, Vale's employers want me captured, not killed. They need information, access codes, testimony recanted. A corpse doesn't provide any of that. If Vale thinks he has a chance to grab me in a semi-public location with limited security, he'll try negotiation before violence. That's a massive gamble, Chen said. Everything about this is a gamble, Verena replied. But it's a calculated one. Noah and I together sell a narrative. Former operator now working private security for a CEO who needs protection. Vale knows Noah's capabilities from the tower assault. He knows I have resources. Seeing us together in this context fits his understanding of the world. Seeing just Noah or just me would raise red flags. Noah studied Verena's face, looking for any sign of bravado or false confidence. But all he saw was the same cold calculation that had helped her survive 14 years of being hunted. She'd thought this through, wargamed the scenarios, accepted the risks with open eyes. If we do this, we do it smart, Noah said. Full tactical support, snipers in position, extraction protocols if things go wrong. And the moment Vale moves aggressively, we put him down hard. No heroics, no trying to capture him if it risks our lives. Agreed, Verena said. I don't like this, Marcus said. Any of it. But I like the alternative even less. He turned to the tactical team leaders. Get your people in position 2 hours before the meet. Concealed overwatch, clear fields of fire, extraction vehicles ready. If this goes sideways, I want overwhelming response within 30 seconds. The team leaders nodded, already pulling out tablets to coordinate their units. Agent Chen looked like she wanted to argue further, but professionalism won out. I'm calling in additional federal resources. If Vale brought backup we don't know about, I want enough firepower on hand to handle it. And Ms. Drake, Mr. Calder, she paused, choosing her words carefully. If either of you dies tonight because of some misguided sense of obligation or revenge, I will personally testify at the inquiry about how this was a terrible idea that I strongly opposed. Clear? Crystal, Verena said. Now, let's get ready. We have 6 hours to prepare, and I'd rather not waste them arguing about risks we've all already accepted. The next 6 hours passed in a blur of preparation. Noah reviewed the operational plan with the tactical teams, memorized the warehouse layout, studied photographs of the arms dealer whose associate he'd be impersonating. The man, a Ukrainian named Dmitry with extensive criminal connections, had been convinced to cooperate through a combination of federal immunity and sheer terror at what Vale might do if he discovered he'd been compromised. Verena spent the time with her intelligence team, building a cover story that would withstand scrutiny. She'd be presenting as CEO of a shell corporation with interests in private military contracting, someone who needed serious hardware and serious protection. Noah would be her head of security, former special forces, exactly the kind of professional someone in her position would hire. As sunset painted the tower's windows gold and crimson, Noah went to say goodbye to Luna. He found her in the guest suite, building an elaborate fortress out of pillows and blankets, Tiger standing guard at the entrance. "That's a good fortress," Noah said from the doorway. "Very defensible." Luna looked up, her face brightening momentarily before falling into studied seriousness. "It's for when the bad dreams come. Tiger and I can hide in here where nothing can reach us." Noah's heart clenched. "Sweetheart, come here for a minute." Luna emerged from her fortress and climbed onto the bed beside him. Noah pulled her close, breathing in the smell of her shampoo and the indefinable scent that was just Luna. "I'm going to tell you something true," Noah said. "Tonight is scary. What Ms. Drake and I are doing is dangerous, and I can't promise that everything will be okay because I don't know what's going to happen. But I can promise that I'm going to try my absolute hardest to come back to you. And if something goes wrong, if I can't come back—" "Don't say that," Luna interrupted, her voice cracking. "Don't say you might not come back." "I have to say it," Noah said gently, "because it's possible, and you deserve to know the truth. But Luna, listen to me. If something happens to me, you're going to be okay. Marcus and Dr. Winters and Ms. Drake, they all care about you. They'll make sure you're safe and loved and taken care of. You won't be alone, ever. Do you understand?" "I don't want them," Luna said, tears streaming down her face. "I want you. You're my daddy. You're all I have left. If you go away like Mommy did, I'll be all alone." "You won't be alone," Noah insisted, his own vision blurring. "You'll have people who love you, and sweetheart, you'll have memories. Every story I ever told you, every lesson I taught you, every time I said I love you, those don't go away just because I'm not here. They stay with you forever. You carry me with you, in your heart, no matter what happens. Okay?" Luna threw her arms around his neck, sobbing into his shoulder with the desperate grief of a child who'd already lost one parent and couldn't bear losing another. Noah held her, his own tears falling silent and hot, wishing desperately that he could promise perfect safety. But he couldn't. All he could offer was truth and love, and the hope that both would be enough. When Luna's sobs finally subsided, Noah pulled back enough to look at her face. "I need you to be brave one more time. Can you do that for me?" Luna nodded, hiccuping slightly. "Good girl," Noah said. "Now I'm going to tell you a secret. You know how I said the bad man might try to take you? That's not going to happen, because tonight we're taking him instead. We're ending this, Luna. One way or another, after tonight, you won't have to be scared anymore. You can go back to your school, see your friends, be a normal kid. That's what I'm fighting for. Not revenge, not justice, just your chance to have a childhood. Does that make sense?" "I think so," Luna said. "You're fighting so I can stop fighting." "Exactly," Noah said. "So I need you to stay here with Dr. Winters and Marcus. Stay in your pillow fortress if that makes you feel safe. And trust that Daddy is doing everything possible to make the scary parts stop. Can you do that?" "Yes," Luna said, though her voice trembled. "But Daddy, after tonight, after the bad man is caught, can we get a real home? Not an apartment with thin walls where I can hear the neighbors fighting. A real home with a yard and maybe a dog? I've always wanted a dog." Noah felt something break and heal simultaneously in his chest. "Yeah, sweetheart. We can get a real home. With a yard. And a dog. The biggest, friendliest dog we can find, I promise." "You said you don't promise things you can't control," Luna said. "You're right," Noah admitted. but I'm promising anyway, because after tonight, one way or another, things are going to change. And if they change the way I'm planning, you're going to get that home and that dog and everything else you deserve, okay? Okay, Luna said. She kissed his cheek, a gesture so tender and trusting that Noah had to look away to maintain composure. I love you, Daddy. Come back. I love you too, sweetheart, Noah said, more than anything in any universe. You're my whole world, Luna. Never forget that. He held her for one more minute, memorizing the feel of her in his arms, then gently passed her to Dr. Winters, who'd been waiting discreetly in the doorway. As he left, he heard Luna's voice, small but steady. Tiger says you're going to win, and Tiger is always right about important things. Noah managed to smile. Tell Tiger I said thanks, and that I'll bring him back something special. He wants a new friend, Luna called. Another stuffed animal, maybe a dinosaur this time. A dinosaur it is, Noah promised, and then he was in the hallway, moving toward the armory where Verena waited, leaving behind the most important person in his world to hunt the man who threatened her. The drive to Newark took 90 minutes through evening traffic. Noah rode in an unmarked van with Verena and Agent Chen, while federal tactical teams deployed to positions around the industrial site. Marcus coordinated from the tower's command center, his voice a steady presence in Noah's earpiece as they approached the target. Overwatch teams in position, Marcus reported. 4 sniper positions with clear fields of fire. Tactical units staged 2 blocks out ready for rapid response. Medical standing by. We're as ready as we're going to be. Copy that, Noah said. He looked at Verena, who'd transformed herself into exactly the kind of hard-edged businesswoman who'd deal with arms dealers. Her suit was expensive but understated, her jewelry minimal, her expression cold enough to freeze nitrogen. You ready for this? I've been ready for 14 years, Verena replied. Ever since Vienna, I've been waiting for the chance to face someone like Vale on my terms instead of his. Tonight, that happens. Whatever comes, we face it together. Together, Noah agreed. They exited the van 3 blocks from the warehouse, walking the remaining distance to sell the illusion that they'd arrived independently. The industrial area was exactly as desolate as the plans had suggested. Abandoned buildings, broken streetlights, the kind of place where illegal transactions happened because nobody was watching. Except tonight, dozens of federal agents were watching through thermal imaging, night vision, and satellite feeds. Vale was walking into the most monitored warehouse in New Jersey, and he had no idea. The warehouse door stood open, spilling weak light into the darkness. Noah entered first, hand near his concealed weapon, every sense hyper-alert. The interior was vast and empty, filled with rusting equipment and the smell of decay. At the far end, a single figure waited in the shadows. You're late, the figure said in accented English. Ukrainian, Noah confirmed. Dmitri, the arms dealer, playing his role exactly as rehearsed. We're careful, Noah replied, using the predetermined code phrases. In our business, punctuality is less important than discretion. And your associate? Dmitri asked, his eyes sliding to Verena. She was not mentioned. She's the client, Noah said. I'm just the help. She wants to discuss requirements directly. Dmitri stepped forward into the light, revealing a weathered face and calculating eyes. Then we talk. But first, we wait. Another buyer expressed interest. Professional courtesy suggests I hear both offers. Noah's blood ran cold. Another buyer. That wasn't part of the plan. That was, "Hello, Noah," a new voice said from the shadows. Corin Vale stepped into the light, and Noah understood immediately that they'd walked into a counter trap. Vale wasn't here to buy weapons. He was here because he'd known about the meeting, known about the setup, and decided to turn it against them. Vale looked exactly as his photographs suggested. Silver hair, cold eyes, expensive suit. But what the photographs hadn't captured was the aura of contained violence around him. The sense that here was someone who'd killed so often, it had become mundane. I was hoping you'd come, Vale continued, his weapon already drawn and pointed at Noah. When I heard about this meeting, when I learned the dealer had been compromised, I knew you couldn't resist the opportunity. So predictable, so very American. Rush in, overwhelm with force, assume superiority equals victory. You knew we'd be here, Verena said, her voice steady despite the weapon tracking toward her. This was your trap, not ours. This was mutual trap, Vale corrected. You wanted to capture me. I wanted to capture you. The question is, who planned better? He gestured with his weapon. Where are the federal agents? Rooftops? Surrounding buildings? Probably both. Very thorough, very professional. But you made one mistake. What mistake? Noah asked, buying time while his mind raced through tactical options. His weapon was concealed, but drawing on an armed opponent was suicide. Verena was exposed, no cover nearby. The federal teams were outside, could breach within seconds, but seconds might be too long. You assumed I was alone, Vale said, and smiled. 4 men emerged from the shadows, weapons drawn, moving with the coordinated precision of trained operators. Not Vale's destroyed team, these were new recruits, fresh assets, proof that 3 weeks had been enough for him to rebuild at least partially. Now we have a problem, Vale continued. I want Ms. Drake alive, which means I can't simply shoot everyone, but I also can't leave because your federal friends have the exits covered. So we negotiate. Or we all die in the crossfire when your tactical teams breach and my men respond. Your choice. There's a third option, Noah said quietly, which is, I fight my way through your men, put you down, and get Verena out alive, Noah replied. I've beaten worse odds. Vale laughed, genuine amusement in the sound. You're good, Noah. Very good. I watched footage from the tower assault, saw how you moved, how you thought. Tier 1 capability, no question. But you're not bulletproof, and my men have orders to shoot Ms. Drake if anything happens to me, so fighting accomplishes nothing except getting her killed. He's right, Verena said, and Noah heard the apology in her voice. We miscalculated. He was better prepared than we assumed. You were, Vale agreed, but I'm a professional, Ms. Drake. I don't make the same mistake twice. Your tower fortress taught me that overwhelming force doesn't work, so I adapted, learned to think like you, predict your moves, turn your aggression into vulnerability. He gestured to one of his men. Tie them up. We're leaving. Federal teams will breach the moment you try, Noah said. Let them, Vale replied. I have vehicles positioned, escape routes planned. By the time your agents organize their response, we'll be gone. And then he looked at Verena. We'll have a very interesting conversation about why powerful people want you dead and how much you're willing to pay to avoid that fate. Noah's mind raced through options. They were outgunned, outpositioned, caught in exactly the trap they'd tried to set. The federal teams outside would breach soon. Marcus was probably screaming orders into the radio right now, but penetrating the warehouse against armed defenders would take time they didn't have, unless Noah gave them an opening. I'll go with you, Noah said. Let Verena walk away. You don't need her if you have me. I'm the one who destroyed your operation, killed your reputation. You want revenge? Take it on me, not her. Noble, Vale said. Stupid, but noble. Unfortunately, I need Ms. Drake specifically. My employers are very clear on that point. You're just a bonus. Leverage to ensure her cooperation. He nodded to his men. Secure them both. We're out of here in 60 seconds. The nearest operative approached Noah, zip ties in hand. Noah measured distances, calculated angles, accepted that what he was about to do would probably get him killed, but might save Verena. Might ensure Luna still had someone to care for her even if Daddy didn't come home. He moved. Not toward Vale, which everyone expected. Toward Verena, pulling her down and behind a rusting piece of equipment while simultaneously drawing his weapon and firing at the overhead lights. Darkness exploded across the warehouse as the remaining illumination shattered. Noah heard Vale shouting orders, heard return fire chewing into metal and concrete, heard the distant crash of breaching charges as federal teams responded to shots fired. Stay down, Noah hissed to Verena. Then he was moving through the darkness with the muscle memory of hundreds of night operations. He heard rather than saw Vale's men trying to adjust, heard their night vision equipment humming to life, and knew he had maybe 3 seconds before they adapted. He used them. The first operative died when Noah crashed into him, disarming and disabling with brutal efficiency. The second spun toward the sound, but Noah was already behind him, putting him down with a strike that left him unconscious but breathing. The The third and fourth opened fire, but Noah had moved again, their bullets finding empty air while his found their targets. Knee shots, shoulder shots, anything that removed them from the fight without killing. Then the federal teams breached, and the warehouse became a storm of sound and fury. Flashbangs detonated, blinding and deafening. Tactical teams poured through every entrance, weapons up, voices shouting commands. Vale's remaining men tried to fight, tried to escape, but they were overwhelmed within seconds. Noah fought his way back to Verena, covering her with his body as the chaos swirled around them. He heard Agent Chen's voice cutting through the noise, coordinating her teams, establishing control. Heard Marcus in his earpiece demanding status reports. Heard Vale's voice, commanding in cold even in defeat, ordering his men to stand down. When the dust settled and the emergency lighting came up, Noah found himself standing over Verena with weapon drawn while federal agents secured the scene. Vale knelt on the concrete, hands zip-tied behind his back, his silver hair disheveled but his expression still calm. "Well played," Vale said, looking at Noah. "You sacrificed your safety to protect her, created chaos when order would have meant capture. Very impressive, very stupid, but impressive." "It's over," Noah said. "Your team is down. Your employers are going to be exposed when you testify. Everything you built is finished." "Is it?" Vale smiled. "You assume I'll testify. You assume I fear prison more than I fear the people who hired me. But you're wrong, Noah. Prison is temporary. What they'll do if I talk is permanent. So no, I won't be exposing anyone. I'll take my life sentence, serve my time, and eventually someone will arrange an accident. That's how this world works." "Then you die having accomplished nothing," Verena said, standing with Noah's help. "Your reputation destroyed, your network dismantled, your name a cautionary tale. Was it worth it, Mr. Vale? All this death and violence for money you'll never spend?" Vale's calm cracked, just for a moment. "You don't understand. None of you understand. The people I worked for, they don't accept failure. My family is dead if I talk. My children, my grandchildren, everyone I care about. So yes, I'll take prison. I'll take death. Because at least some of them might survive if I keep silent." Noah felt unexpected sympathy stir. He'd made similar calculations once, sacrificing his own future to protect Luna from consequences of his past. "There's another option. Witness protection for your family. Full immunity in exchange for testimony. Chen can arrange it." "Can you?" Vale looked at Agent Chen, who'd approached during the conversation. "Can you really protect them from people who own corporations, who influence governments, who make careers disappear with a phone call?" "We can try," Chen said. "And I'm very good at my job, Mr. Vale. But you need to decide quickly. Cooperation now, while the evidence is fresh, gives us the best chance of building a case. Wait, and the opportunity passes." Vale was silent for a long moment, weighing impossibilities. Finally, he nodded. "I want guarantees, documented, legally binding guarantees, and I want my family moved tonight, before anyone knows I've been captured." "Done," Chen said immediately. "Start talking." What emerged over the next 3 hours, as Vale was transported to federal custody and debriefed, shattered assumptions about corporate espionage and criminal conspiracy. The people who'd hired him weren't just competitors angry about lost contracts. They were a network of defense industry executives who'd been systematically defrauding the government for decades, and Verena's congressional testimony had threatened to expose everything. Taking her out wasn't about revenge. It was about self-preservation, about protecting billions in illegal profits and keeping powerful people out of prison. Vale had been their tool, expendable and deniable, paid millions to solve a problem they couldn't solve legally. By dawn, arrest warrants were being executed across 3 states. CEOs were being pulled from their mansions, executives were being perp-walked from their corner offices, and a conspiracy that had flourished for 20 years was dying in the harsh light of federal prosecution. Noah watched it unfold from Verena's office, Luna asleep on the couch behind him, Tiger clutched tight. They'd picked her up from the tower immediately after Vale's capture, Noah unable to spend another minute separated from his daughter. She'd cried when she saw him, relief and terror pouring out. then fallen asleep in his arms with the exhaustion of someone who'd been holding themselves together through pure willpower. "It's really over," Verena said, standing beside Noah at the window as sunrise painted the city gold. "The threat is ended. Vale is in custody. His employers are being prosecuted. We're safe." "We're safe," Noah repeated, testing the words. They felt strange, unfamiliar, like a language he'd forgotten how to speak. For 4 years, safety had been an illusion maintained through vigilance and secrecy. The idea that he could stop watching shadows, stop planning escape routes, stop teaching his daughter to recognize danger, it was almost incomprehensible. "What will you do now?" Verena asked. "The director of security position is still yours if you want it, but if you'd rather take Luna and start fresh somewhere else, I'll understand. You've given me more than enough." Noah looked at his sleeping daughter, at the woman who'd fought beside him, at the city spreading out below them full of possibility and danger in equal measure. Luna asked for a real home, a yard, a dog. I told her I'd make it happen. "I can help with that," Verena said. "There are properties in the suburbs, security vetted, close enough to good schools. I could arrange purchase, cover expenses until you're settled in your new position, if you're staying." "Are you asking me to stay?" Noah asked. "I'm asking if you want to," Verena replied, "because somewhere over the past month, this stopped being just about security, or protection, or business. You and Luna, you became important to me, not as assets or employees, but as people I care about. And I don't care about many people, Noah. It's not good business practice." Noah smiled despite his exhaustion. "What about good personal practice?" "I'm still learning that," Verena admitted. 14 years of being hunted, of seeing everyone as either ally or threat. It doesn't leave much room for personal connections. But Luna breaks through defenses I didn't know I had. And you—" She paused, seeming to search for words. "You make me think maybe survival doesn't have to be the only goal. Maybe there's room for something more." "Like what?" Noah asked, though he thought he knew. "Like family," Verena said quietly. "Not immediate, not presumptuous, but eventually. 3 people who survived terrible things building something gentle together. Is that too much to hope for?" Noah thought about his wife, dead 4 years but still present in memory. Thought about the life he'd imagined when Luna was born, safe, normal, free from the violence that had defined his career. That life had been destroyed, torn apart by men like Vale, who saw human beings as chess pieces. But maybe there was a different life possible. One that acknowledged what he was, what he'd done, while still building toward something good. One where Luna got her yard and her dog, where Noah used his skills to protect instead of hide, where Verena found something beyond survival to strive for. "It's not too much," Noah said. "It's exactly enough." They stood together watching the sunrise, 2 people bound by violence and hope, while Luna slept peacefully behind them. In federal custody, Corin Vale was beginning a cooperation that would topple corrupt empires. In hospitals and holding cells, the operatives who'd attacked the tower were facing justice. And in cities across America, powerful men who'd thought themselves untouchable were learning that consequences eventually found everyone. 3 months later, Noah pushed a lawnmower across grass that Luna had already marked with chalk drawings of dinosaurs and archaeological dig sites. The house wasn't large, 3 bedrooms in a quiet suburb 40 minutes from the tower, but it had the yard Luna wanted and the security features that let Noah sleep at night. The dog, a massive golden retriever Luna had named Armor in honor of her beloved Ankylosaurus, bounded alongside the mower, barking at nothing and everything with equal enthusiasm. Luna followed, explaining to Dr. Winters, who visited weekly for continued tutoring, why Armor was clearly descended from Pachycephalosaurus, despite all anatomical evidence to the contrary. Verena's car pulled into the driveway, the sleek sedan at odds with the suburban normalcy but somehow fitting anyway. She emerged wearing jeans instead of her usual suit, carrying a bag that promised either Chinese takeout or something equally informal. "Ms. Drake!" Luna shrieked, abandoning Dr. Winters to sprint across the lawn. "Armor learned a new trick. Watch this!" She proceeded to demonstrate Armor's dubious ability to sit on command approximately 60% of the time, her enthusiasm making up for the dog's inconsistent obedience. Verena watched with an expression Noah had learned to recognize, cautious joy, as if she was still surprised that happiness was allowed. "That's very impressive," Verena said seriously. "You're an excellent trainer, Luna." "Daddy says consistent positive reinforcement is the key to behavioral modification," Luna replied, mangling the terminology in the charming way of 7-year-olds. "And also treats. Lots of treats." "Your father is a very smart man," Verena said. She looked at Noah, and something passed between them. Not romantic, not yet. Both were still healing from trauma too recent to rush, but full of promise. "Dinner's here, and I brought news." They gathered around the kitchen table, Noah, Luna, Verena, and Dr. Winters, who'd become something like family over the months. Marcus called in via video chat, his leg fully healed, his gruff voice complaining about desk assignments with transparent fondness. Vale's testimony concluded yesterday, Verena reported. 27 arrests total. The prosecution expects trials to begin in 6 months, with convictions almost certain. The conspiracy is completely exposed. "So it's really truly over?" Luna asked. "The bad men are all caught?" "All caught," Verena confirmed. "You're safe, sweetheart. Completely safe. You can go back to your regular school next week if you want. No more hiding, no more being scared." Luna looked at her father. "Can I really?" "You really can," Noah said. "Normal school, normal friends, normal everything. Just like I promised." Luna's face split into a grin so wide it looked painful. "Can Armor come to show and tell? I want everyone to meet him." "We'll have to check with your teacher," Noah said. "But probably yes." After dinner, after Dr. Winters left and Luna went to bed with Armor sprawled across her feet, Noah and Verena sat on the back porch watching fireflies dance through the summer darkness. "Do you miss it?" Verena asked. "The life you had before, the anonymity." "Sometimes," Noah admitted. "It was simpler, safer in some ways, but it was also empty. I was hiding from the world instead of living in it. This..." He gestured at the house, the yard, the life they'd built. "This is messy and complicated and sometimes terrifying, but it's real. Luna's happy. I'm using my skills for something that matters. And you..." He paused, choosing words carefully. "You're becoming something more than just the Fortress CEO. You're becoming human." Verena laughed softly. "I'm not sure that's a compliment." "It's the highest compliment I can give," Noah replied. "Being human means being vulnerable, means caring about people, even though caring hurts. You've done that. With me, with Luna, with everyone you've protected through Ravel Dynamics. You've turned survival into purpose." "So have you," Verena said. "You stopped running, started fighting for something instead of against everything. That takes courage I'm not sure I have yet." "You have it," Noah said. "You proved that when you walked into that warehouse knowing it might be a trap, when you stood beside me during the firefight, when you looked at Luna and saw not a liability, but someone worth protecting. That's not survival instinct, Verena. That's love." "Is it?" Verena asked quietly. "Because I'm not sure I know what love feels like. Family died when I was young. Vienna taught me fear. Building Ravel Dynamics taught me power. But love? That's foreign territory." "Then we'll explore it together," Noah said. "Slowly, carefully, no pressure, no expectations, just 3 people figuring out how to be a family despite having no idea what that means." 3 people, Verena repeated, plus Dr. Winters and Marcus and Agent Chen, who somehow became an aunt figure despite her professional protests, plus Armor, who is objectively a terrible guard dog but an excellent family member, plus... She paused, something vulnerable crossing her face. "Plus, whatever comes next. Whatever we build together." "Whatever we build together," Noah agreed. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the fireflies and listening to the distant sound of Luna's voice reading bedtime stories to Armor. The world was still dangerous, still full of people like Vale and threats they couldn't predict. But here, in this small yard behind this modest house, they'd carved out something precious. Not perfect safety. That didn't exist. Not freedom from fear. That was impossible for people who'd survived what they'd survived. But they'd found something better. Purpose. Connection. The possibility that survival could transform into something resembling joy. Inside, Luna called out,
Daddy!
Armor says he wants to say goodnight. Noah smiled, stood, offered his hand to Verena. Come on, let's go be a family. She took his hand, and together they walked inside, leaving the fireflies and the darkness behind, moving toward the warm light where Luna waited with her dog and her dinosaurs and her absolute certainty that when Daddy promised something, he kept his promises. Not perfectly, not without cost, but always, always with love that survived every threat the world could throw at it. And that, Noah thought as he knelt beside Luna's bed and accepted Armor's enthusiastic goodnight kisses, was exactly enough.